Just waiting for Gus here. Give it a few more moments.
I'm waiting to cool off myself.
Oh, Chief, I totally forgot she was on this one. Oh, sure. Okay. Hey, Christine.
Yeah.
That was not on the agenda.
Yeah, it's on. It's on. Number 2.
Do I have an old agenda?
I don't think so.
A is Thomas, B is you, Scott, Michelle, Dave. Am I missing him?
Number 2.
Oh, number 2. Oh,
Yep.
oh, got it. Okay, thank you. So I was missing some.
Nope, not at all.
Well, I'm half tempted to get underway if Gus isn't here.
About moving trailers, which turned out to be not a good thing to do before a select board meeting in a suit.
What's that?
I was out moving a trailer.
Oh, jeez. All right, part of it's just not kicking off. We're just waiting for Gus, and something tells me he's probably having a hard time getting a parking spot, so we'll give him a few more moments. This, the restaurants, and then, well, this alone will take, oh, there's Gus. Hard time getting a parking space?
Musical chairs game up in the town hall. It was an open spot.
That's what I was just saying. I said
the
that.
wrong way. I got to it before I could get to it.
So I said, I have a feeling Gus is being challenged with parking spot right now.
used to be able to pull out a badge and
I don't know.
So we do have a special request because of some timing.
Yep.
Are you okay if I have him go first?
Sure.
Because this definitely won't take more than 10, and then we can
Sure.
spend, okay, all right,
You can start if you want.
okay. We're gonna kick right into him, so you're gonna be okay with that? Okay. All right. All right, so do you need to promote us?
I don't see. Oh, so you are.
Not that I want that, but I know that otherwise you're gonna get messages while we are in the meeting. Second, get my work one off.
close enough.
All right.
We have some rule when the temperature's above 90 degrees, Pete, you don't have to wear a tie to the select board meetings.
Nice going,
All right.
Gus.
So let me get my. All right, Pete, I'm going to get things underway here just to, okay?
Okay,
All
I'm
right.
ready.
All right, good evening and welcome to the Medfield Select Board meeting here on Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. I do want to welcome everyone. This meeting is being held in a hybrid format. The Select Board is here in person. Members of the public, which we have quite a few, which I appreciate, can attend in person. And in addition, members of the public who wish to participate via Zoom may do so. They can go to the town website. They can click on the date for today. They'll see that our meeting is this evening. They have the Zoom link that they can click into. If those watching don't have access to Zoom, they are more than happy to dial in with their conference call number. And then most importantly, there is a link to our document packets. So everything we're going to talk about here tonight is in a document packet for everyone to review. This is being recorded, so you can certainly go back and look at it another time, whether it's via Medfield TV or just Googling it with YouTube. So on that note, I do want to take a moment here of appreciation for our troops serving around the globe in defense of our country. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
I'm going to do
It's gone.
volume off. one quick pivot this evening. We have a request on our agenda for Michael LaFrancesca, Director of our Finance Operations, we're going to bump him ahead because this should be a short discussion, and then, and he's got a personal appointment he has to get to, and then we're going to jump right in. So hopefully everyone out there understands. We'll keep it short, but it just makes it, out of respect to Michael, we can get going here. All right? So we'll jump to that. Number 5, Michael LaFrancesca, Director of Finance and Operations for Medfield Public Schools, to request $77,640 from the Municipal Building Stabilization Fund Reserve for a boiler replacement at Medfield High School. You want to jump up there?
Michael, a boiler today?
And then for everyone who's here in the room, if you ever, throughout the meeting, want to ask any questions, there is a microphone up here. You will not hear it kick up the volume in the room. It's for everyone watching at home. Like, you don't hear me projecting from this microphone, but it helps for people watching at home and for the recording. So that we do ask everyone to speak into if they want to talk. Well, you've got that one, Michael. It's all yours.
Well, thank you for taking me first, and I appreciate it. I truly do. So it's not the boiler that we're replacing, it's the exhaust system that's attached to the boiler,
Okay.
which they have to replace the whole thing. They can't fix it. And so the way it works is that the boiler is attached to the exhaust system. It's a safety control that if the exhaust system doesn't turn on, the boiler won't turn on. So it's a safety system because when you're running boilers, you have to run an exhaust system. We tried to get them to change the motor up, but it's just they said that the whole system has to be replaced, which is why we're coming in front of the select board for the emergency funding through the stabilization account for that amount.
Pete, do you have any questions of the contract?
No, if they need it, they need it, I guess. Michael says he needs it, he needs it.
And we want to get it done now, so before the students come in September.
So I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
First off, when the exhaust system goes out, does it blow up? Like, how does
You can smell it. So the first thing that you the first thing that you when you walked in, you can smell that there's an odor because as the boilers are going in, it's not pulling that exhaust out of the building.
Okay. And so this all happened after the school
So
year
this
ended? In other words, we weren't poisoning our kids with
No.
carbon.
So when we were so what we do is we at the end of the heating season we turn them off, and then we have them a maintenance done on them. So they take them apart and get them fixed. So when they went to turn them on to make sure that everything was working, that's when they noticed that the exhaust system the motor had blown.
Okay. And there was my main concern is around emergency requests because, and not so much with this one, but the issues I've had with the school building committee to make sure if we're going to go beyond this year with MSBA, project the maintenance. So this was not something that could be.
This wasn't something that we were made aware of. So so the system's been in place for I think it's 24 years when they updated the high school.
Okay.
So
this is the original system.
this is the original system.
Okay.
Now, the boiler system will eventually be part of the 20-year capital plan to be replaced with the high efficiency boilers because 25-year boilers are no longer high efficiency. But in order for us to continue on until that project comes to be, we have to fix the exhaust system in order to get the boilers running.
I will make the observation that they last longer than the rooftop HVAC systems did on the library and some of the others. So that's good to hear. I have one other technical question.
Sure.
The article is $77,640.
Correct.
The proposal that came in the packet showed it at $78,800. Which are we approving?
So we went out and got 3 quotes.
Okay.
The lowest quote was the 77.6.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's the right number.
That's the correct number.
Okay. No more questions. Yep.
I'm good. Any questions from anybody in the audience? Okay, all right.
Okay.
I move that we approve the request for $77,640 from the Municipal Building Stabilization Fund Reserve for a boiler replacement at Medfield High School.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Good luck tonight. Thank you. All right, so back to the start of our agenda, and thank you very much, everyone, for letting me rearrange that a little. So we're going to kick off some certificates of appreciation, and the first individual we'd like to recognize is Special Officer Thomas Hamano for 30 years of service. All right, please come up. Thomas, thank you very, very much. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thanks for all those years.
Photo op for anybody? You have your family here? You want to get recognized?
I'll do a quick mock handshake for him.
All right, super. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I get a
Oh,
picture
yeah.
with you. You gotta get a picture with him. Come on. That's awesome. Ah, great. Thank you. All right.
So can I just tell a quick story about Tom? Because I met Tom 24 years ago, maybe, 23 years ago. And it was a very sad day because Tom drove me back from Danny McCarthy's funeral down in Foxborough. And Paul Ruda and I were given a ride home by Tom. And I was fascinated talking to Tom on the way home to discover that he was a full-time employee at Price Waterhouse, telling businesses how to run the world, but he enjoyed working in police so much that he worked at the Medfield Police Department. I was just flabbergasted, and I've been fascinated by that ever since, Tom, and I thank you for your 30 years of service to the town. It's been a pleasure to know you.
I didn't know that. Were you in the Boston office?
I was in Burlington.
In Burlington? Did you know Ron Barris?
There were a lot of people.
Okay, okay. It was this Price Waterhouse before the merger or after? Before, okay. I was with PwC because I came in through Cooper's Library. Oh, okay.
All right, here we go. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, and the next one is near and dear to our heart because she sits to our left every Tuesday night and every other special meeting. I want to recognize Christine Freeweller for 25 years of service.
Thank you.
Aren't you the one with all the supply of all the things?
I picked the pins out.
You can have one for every coat, every jacket you have.
Thank you very much. Those years just flew by, huh?
Very much so.
All righty. And our next one, the next individual we'd like to recognize is Scott Allison, Inspector Department for 20 years of service.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Scott. The town appreciates you.
All right. Next up, Police Chief Michelle Garrett, 5 years of service. Outstanding. Do a button if you don't have one, and a little pin? Thank you very much. All right. And moving on to our next individual we want to recognize is Andrew Foster, Town Accountant, 5 years of service. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right. And we've got one more here on this list, which is Dave Mullen, Water Department, 5 years of service. Where is Dave hiding out?
Your broken pipe somewhere.
Is he over at the high school helping out? Not nowhere in
I
the
don't
back?
see him this evening.
Thought I saw him, okay. All right, we will set that aside. All right. And we have got one more here, certificate of appreciation for our public relations college intern, Nick Jobin. Where is Nick hiding out? Ah, there we go. I knew I saw him. Very nice, okay.
How'd you get by without me ever meeting you? I don't think.
Oh, I'm in the corners in the back.
Oh, no.
He's always taking the pictures in the background.
History
Okay, all right,
tour.
yeah, that's gonna be it,
Thank
okay.
you. All right, moving on here, we've got Police Chief Michelle Garrett to request the following. Appointment of Officer Dylan Haldeman, Officer William Crisafulli, and Officer Garrett Ledbetter to the position of Sergeant effective immediately.
Hi, good evening. First of all, welcome to the families. Thank you for coming. I say welcome to them because this is a profession that the whole family sacrifices for. Whether it's getting appointed and going into the academy, taking home a new resource that becomes a part of your family, or studying for a promotional examination, your family really is there. I was joking with the guys earlier. I bet I could ask any one of their wives a legal question on criminal law in Massachusetts, and they would know the answer right now from 3 months of studying. So very exciting day for us. The best butterflies ever when we do something like this. I've stood in that position, and I know how hard you work to get to where you are. So you have my appreciation for everything you do to get to this position. I wanted to talk just for a second about first-line leadership. The deputy and I met a year ago, and we had a heart-to-heart about making Medfield a destination department. We wanted this to be a department where people could come and stay, where they had growth within the organization and transition in positions and advancement opportunities. And I think tonight really embodies every one of those goals. I couldn't be more proud of the men and women that we have working for us and the progress that they've made and what they represent for our department and to the town. I think most importantly, the town benefits from these people that we're going to bring up tonight. So first and foremost, I would like to introduce and respectfully request consideration for the promotional position of sergeant to Officer Dylan Haldeman. Officer Haldeman graduated the academy in 2011 and has served for 13 years. He has his PhD in criminal justice leadership. He is a certified SRO, a behavior threat assessment specialist, an FTO, a sexual assault investigator, and numerous other certificates. On a brief note, I will say that Officer Haldeman started with us and really hit the ground running and was just a true leader from day one. Whether he wears those stripes or not, he is an informal leader in this organization, and he works every day to push out the vision and the agenda that the administration has by representing hard work, dedication, and just an overall positive attitude. So he would be my first request to be promoted to the position of sergeant. Do you want me to do all three? I think it might make it easier.
I'm okay with all three.
Is that
Mark, that good? Okay.
okay? The second officer I'd like to introduce tonight is William Crisafulli, Billy. He graduated the police academy in 2016 and has served for 18 years. Billy has his master's degree in criminal justice, is also a certified SRO and behavior threat assessment specialist. He is an active shooter response instructor and firearms instructor, as well as some other certificates. Billy is absolutely the light of the department. He's the guy that walks in every day with a smile. And when you talk about first-line leadership, you talk about that morale boost that the first-line leaders give. I can come in and have a vision for the department. These are the people that make that happen. And again, just somebody who stepped in and through his positive attitude and hard work ethic has really set himself apart. The last person I'm asking to recommend tonight is Officer Garrett Ledbetter. Officer Ledbetter graduated the academy in 2020. He's been serving for 4 years with the Medfield Police Department. Officer Ledbetter has his bachelor's in criminal justice, and prior to becoming a police officer, worked in corrections where he was on numerous special response teams and different capacities within those organizations. Garrett is an absolute example of staying with the department through thick and thin and seeing that reward come through where you put the work in and you show the loyalty to the town, and there is advancement opportunity available to you when you do that. So I respectfully request of the board your consideration for promotion, the 3 officers mentioned.
Oh, I think this is wonderful, so thank you for having 3 candidates. Appreciate your leadership of the department.
Thank you.
No question. I appreciate your comments and absolutely recognize how important that first line in leadership is in a department to get it to run. So I'm sure glad to see you guys.
Yeah, and I'll echo those sentiments. I'm thrilled. From bottom of my heart, congratulations. I absolutely love what's happening with the department. I see you guys all around town. I love the interaction, and I'm thrilled for the 3 of you to be promoted to sergeant is outstanding. So, take the motion.
Okay. Yep. I move that we appoint Officer Dylan Haldeman, Officer William Crisafulli, and Officer Garrett Ledbetter to the position of sergeant effective immediately.
And
So-
I'll very happily second
Sorry.
that.
I'm so sorry.
You're having second thoughts?
You know I'm not good at the formal stuff and the voting. So.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
I almost ruined it for you. I do want to say that our town clerk is away this week. The officers will take the oath of office again. It serves as a reminder. I do it once a year at our chiefs meeting as well. It is a reminder of why we serve the community and why we do what we do. If it's all right with you, I'd like to have them come up individually and get pinned by their family.
Absolutely.
And then we'll be presenting them with a plaque that has the oath of office so that they can keep it on their desk or on their home. And it serves as a daily reminder of why we do what we do for our community and how important it is.
Oh, absolutely. This is we're here to celebrate these fine gentlemen. So, absolutely, come on up.
Dylan, if you'd like to come up first.
Wait for them to get up here. Maybe we should. We'll just have to scoot out of the way. You're probably okay. Okay. You'll be all right. Pete, help them out.
Thank you guys for coming.
The gold's a lot heavier, I warn you.
I don't want to photobomb it. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the tour, by the way.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
And we're gonna, Chief, when all 3 of them go through, I'd like to bring them back up and get a group photo with the select board.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sergeant Crisafulli.
I love that. Dylan. Congratulations.
Absolutely, congratulations, thank you.
And Sergeant Ledbetter.
buddy. Check everybody out.
Seven more.
Go, you can go ahead first. Congratulations, thank you. Thrilled for you.
Congratulations. Nice to see you again.
All right. Can we get a shot with the three of them? That's okay. Cut your knees off.
Yeah, there we go.
Oops, sorry. Short guy in the middle?
Get those three first. I worked for Kodak for 28 years. I don't get a photo. All right. Now we're gonna jump in. Get the select board in here with you guys.
Slight angle or?
It's slimming, I hear. So as much as I know everybody is excited about puppy, I feel like I should do the people first. So the next request for the evening is going to be for Officer Sandra Burton.
Yep.
It took me a while. Sandy has recently married retired Sergeant Ray Burton, who you will know proudly served this town for many, many years.
Yes.
This is a long tradition and a family that loves Medfield. Special Officer Burton has worked for the town for over 20 years. She has been a part-time dispatcher and then a full-time dispatcher for us. She graduated the Reserve Academy in 2003 and then attended the Bridge Academy in 2022. I will tell you on a personal note, this is a member of our team that has sacrificed her personal ambitions for the support of our agency in our town. When we were coming out of civil service, Sandy was involved in that process and may have benefited from staying in it and actively helped us move the town forward in getting out of civil service to allow us to hire and to allow us to promote. That is genuine loyalty to the town of Medfield. And this is a personal highlight for me to be able to take somebody who's been so dedicated and offer them this opportunity. So I respectfully request that you appoint Special Officer Sandra Burton to the position of full-time police officer effective August 11th. She is helping us train her replacement in dispatch.
Oh, okay.
So that's the delay. And that is my request to the board.
Okay.
No questions. I just think it's a wonderful thing, so thank you for bringing it to us to approve.
And I'm just glad to learn that, I sat there and saw Sandra Burton, said, is she married to Ray? And so it's like, at least it was a relatively recent thing, so congratulations on that.
Yeah, and I will again echo it. I'm thrilled. Congratulations to you. You have worked for so long and so hard for this town. So this is such a recognition you've 100% earned. And so I'm thrilled that this opportunity is here for you. And I'm just happy for you and your family.
So Sandy and Ray are actually coming from another event. She did not have time to stop and put on her uniform, but I would like it if her husband could pin her, seeing as this is just a family event. So Sandy, if you come up.
Congratulations.
We have moved. We have
Thank you for everything.
Ray, thank you for everything.
Good to see you, my friend.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You were the only one out there.
All right, we have one housekeeping matter to do before we go to the next one.
Me?
No, we do.
Oh.
Just to make that official, we need to make sure we vote on that.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that was Gus Cup.
Yeah,
All right,
so-
so, motion?
So in light of the overwhelming public support for this, I move that we appoint Special Officer Sandra Burton to the position of full-time police officer effective August 11th, 2024. The selectmen can be led easily if the crowd is of the single mind.
I know that not to be true, actually.
I'm delighted to second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Excellent.
So I keep these little notes just in case I forget something. I do practice them. I try and remember them so that I can say something. What I need to start doing is writing the rules of open meeting down.
So I'll read this one and then hand the baton to you. So the next request is appointment of K-9 Nova to the police department as a community engagement search resource.
So again, when we talk about opportunities for the police department, I will say we have previously had a K-9 unit, and there has been some discussion about it. We had this K-9 unit under the Stanton grant, and there was a mandatory requirement for a bite dog. We learned, unfortunately, that that was very difficult to control. Over the coming years, we retired the dogs, and over the coming years, we really paid attention to public sentiment and court sentiment on the use of force with bite dogs, and I just don't think that it is something that is appropriate for our town. But we do have another need, and that need remains the same, and that is search and rescue and community engagement. I tasked Rob, he expressed an interest, and I tasked him with find me a program that fits that bill that we can do. So we took the items that we had purchased from the Stanton grant, we returned the monies to them, and we repurposed those items, which we are now getting covered for. So we are continuing this process at no cost. I would like Rob, who is very passionate about this topic, if he doesn't mind, to come up and tell you a little bit about the dog and the process and what we've done so far, if that's okay?
Oh, fabulous.
All right.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Officer Robert Hain, and I'd first like to start out by thanking Chief Garrett, Deputy Chief the Select Board, as well as the entire community of Medfield, for basically supporting the decision to introduce K-9 Nova into our ranks. Not only is being a K-9 handler my personal dream job, but the opportunity to have such a resource in the town to support the community is unsurpassable. K-9 Nova is a 5-month-old English Black Lab who will be certified as a dual-purpose K-9. Her functions will be community resource and community engagement, which specializes in mental health and trauma support. And her secondary function will be a search and rescue for locating vulnerable populations, such as elderly with dementia or people with autism. Through support of the community and a reimbursement from the Norfolk County DA's office, K-9 Nova has been acquired at no cost. Her initial training as a community resource dog, all food associated with her, and veterinary care are all covered through the support of the community. Will's Hardware has assisted Nova by donating her food monthly. Norfolk County Veterinary Service, specifically Dr. McCabe and Dr. Poor, have graciously offered to provide Nova all of her care at no cost to the town as well. K-9 Nova has already made a profound impact in the morale and spirit for the department, and we cannot wait to share her energy, her love. Care for the community she serves when she's awake. Come here.
Oh, she is beautiful.
Oh, baby.
On that note, I respectfully request that the board appoint Nova as our official K-9 for the department for the purposes of community engagement and search and rescue.
Pete, any questions, comments?
No questions. I think it's a great idea. Rob, thank you for getting all of that support and arranging it. I assume that maybe you did all of that, so thank you a lot.
Team effort.
Yeah, thank you for leading the team.
Delighted to see it. Nice dog.
So as Rob knows, we've bumped into one another quite a bit since, and I will tell you, I experienced the first comfort incident. There happened to be an accident at the end of my street. The young man that was in the accident, maybe 18, 19 years old, it was his first car accident, and he was in a state of shock. And I literally a state of shock. And he started to communicate, and Rob pulled in. I had said, "Is Nova with you?" So after there was some, he got checked over by the EMTs, et cetera. He was standing there, and we asked him to come around the corner, and his body completely changed. Like, it was so visible that the purpose of it being a comfort care, it took the scare that was in this young man's body and redirected it. And I think he said he worked at a vet or something during the summer. So it got his mind to just suddenly take a step away, and it was awesome to see firsthand, and to see the pictures that have been going around town with you seeing the young kids at Parks and Rec. And it goes to what I know the chief and the deputy chief have been striving for, and they've been communicating it to me since I had the pleasure of coming on this board just under 2.5 years now. Community facing makes a world of difference when you have policing in a community. And what we're seeing is such outstanding community-facing policing right now, and this right here is a perfect example of engaging with young kids, and they get a chance to meet you, and they're not afraid of you. They want to engage with you. That's awesome, and that just grows from a 4-year-old to an 8-year-old to a 12-year-old to a high school kid. That's what you want, and then obviously the adults that live in this town. So I'm thrilled that everything came together, and I can't wait to see her continue to grow.
Thank you.
Ready?
Right, ready.
All right. I move that we appoint K-9 Nova to the police department as a community engagement search and rescue dog.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Woo-hoo. Aye.
Want a picture, Chief?
I love that. That's awesome.
That's a good girl.
Weighs more than she does.
That's awesome. All right, we've got one more item for you there. Can't go anywhere yet, Chief. So Police Chief Michelle Garrett to introduce Officer Ingrid Stena, Officer Timothy Riley, Officer Peter Braswell to the Select Board, having successfully completed their field training program.
So if you go back a little ways, you'll remember that we had approached the board some 9 months ago now, 10 months ago, and asked that you appoint these citizens as student officers to attend the police academy. All 3 of these members were highly successful in the academy. Officer Senna actually received a citation for her actions off-duty, leaving the academy at a rollover accident. I could not be more proud of their performance thus far. They are all performing at a level well above what I would expect a new officer to be at. They graduated the police academy on May 3rd, I believe. Yep, that one's from memory. And had just recently finished their field training. So they have started their own solo patrols just over the last couple of weeks. I just wanted to introduce them: Officer Ingrid Senna, Officer Timothy Riley, and Officer Peter Braswell.
Congratulations.
And unless you have anything for me?
Let me see. Let me think.
So that's not one we have to appoint, that's just letting us know it's informative, okay.
Yep.
All right, so we're good. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks,
Big
you.
night for the department.
Thank
Awesome.
you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, so we've already done Michael, so we can jump to item number 6 here, Robert Winograd, Community Choice Aggregation Committee, to provide an update on the Medfield Community Electricity Program.
Thank you. We have a PowerPoint presentation here, if we can show it, please. Yes, maybe? Okay. It's great being back here again to present progress that we've been making on this Community Choice Aggregation Program, this time in person.
Oh, yes, because last time we were looking that way.
That, yes, exactly right.
Sorry, it's just demoing.
That's right, gives it,
Well, hold on for a moment here.
Yeah.
Maybe I should run home and pull up my laptop and I can present that way.
all right, there we go.
Okay, great. We'll flip to the next slide, please. Okay, let's come back to the roots of this whole program. Why are we doing this? Why are we introducing this community choice aggregation program? There were three reasons, really. One is to provide alternatives to the Eversource Basic Service Program. Eversource has what is called the Eversource Basic rate for charging electricity consumption in the town of Medfield. We have alternatives that we're presenting through this program. These alternatives provide options for a greater percentage of renewable energy that's used in production of electricity that we're going to be consuming. So we're supporting the town's effort towards carbon elimination and our program for carbon elimination by 2050. Third priority that is a purpose and intent of community choice aggregation is stable prices. This program is going to be active for 30 months. The Eversource programs, Eversource Basic, is updated every 6 months. We never know what the next 6 months are going to bring us. We have stable prices over this period of time. I also have to, on all occasions, make mention of the fact that by engaging with community choice aggregation and with our Medfield Community Electricity Program, we cannot guarantee savings. There's no such thing. We don't have eyesights into the future before the future comes upon us. But the history of the community choice aggregation programs across the state have all been very positive, and the probabilities are with us that'll benefit the community at large, and of course the objectives that we've had for bringing this program on board. Next slide, please. Back in March, we as a committee and the town chose Direct Energy Services after a competitive bid that was led by our Medfield Community Electricity Consultants. Good Energy is the name of the group that we've been working with, a wonderful group of people that we've been engaged with. Direct Energy is going to be providing energy for all of these programs, and I'll mention three specifically in a moment. There's a mention here of implementation June and July of this summer, which is right now as we're speaking here. I'll speak to that implementation in a moment towards the latter part of this presentation. I'll come back to it. There are three program options that this program offers the community. And we've tried to communicate what these options are through many channels. They are listed there in this slide. If we move forward to the next. These are the three options. We have Medfield Basic, we have Medfield Standard, and Medfield 100. Medfield Basic is the equivalent of Eversource Basic. By state regulation, by state requirement, Eversource is required to procure energy that is over 64%, if I have the percentage plus minus 1 or 2 points accurate. Energy must be provided, or it must be bought by Eversource, with renewables being at that percentage level. That is the basic service as provided by Eversource. Our Medfield Basic is the equivalent of that. You'll notice that there's a 12-cent per kilowatt hour difference between Medfield Basic and Eversource Basic at 17.216. Its current base rate, which is the base rate that everyone on Eversource today in our town is paying. You'll note in the bottom right, there's in red, I have mentioned that the new contract that Eversource has just signed for power acquisition over the course of the next 6 months from August through February of 2025 will be at 15.772 cents per kilowatt hour. Still, we are favorable in all three categories that I'm going to be mentioning to you. Medfield Basic I just spoke to. Medfield Standard is an option that's more expensive by a half penny, and what that represents is more renewable energy over and above that which is required by the state at this point in time. Again, hopefully by virtue of selecting this option, we're helping the community towards its goals of reducing our carbon footprint. So there's Medfield Standard, there's Medfield 100, which is 100% renewable energy. If you go into that program, what you receive in power, what you consume in power is coming from 100% renewable sources. Those sources are classically hydro, solar, wind power, sources of that nature. So as we're looking forward to the next 6 months, and actually the first 8 months of this program, regardless of the program you're in, you're saving money. Next slide, please. 4,212 residences and businesses formerly on, and I'm using this in the past tense now, formerly on Eversource Basic Services have been enrolled automatically into the Medfield Standard Program option. Effective this month, and I'll speak to that again in just a moment, but effective this month, everyone in that crowd is being moved into the Medfield Standard Program that I just made mention of. There are exceptions, and those exceptions are those who chose voluntarily to opt up to Medfield 100 or opt down to the Medfield Basic Program. There's also those who chose voluntarily to opt out of the Medfield Community Electricity Program before ever having a chance to benefit from it. Those individuals, those residents and businesses will be maintaining their engagement with Eversource Basic. Next slide, please. Oh, by the way, I might mention that there were 400 residents and businesses excluded from that 4212. Those 400, roughly speaking, residents and businesses have engaged with third parties for their electricity power. So anyone falling into that group, the automatic enrollment in this program was not available for them. Those who are engaged with the third-party programs may volunteer at any time to opt into our Medfield Electricity Community Program. They may do so again at any time. But looking at the 4212 number, 3,605, got to be exact here, 3,605 are now enrolled in Medfield Standard. 175 residents and businesses have opted. Let's go back one. 175 have opted to opt up or opt down, to Medfield Basic. 41 have enrolled, opted up, in other words, to Medfield 100. That brings us to a total of 3831. We have 381 residents and businesses who've opted out of the program. Now, kindly, Gus put this into a pie chart for us. Thank you, Gus. Next slide. And we see those numbers represented in this format. Obviously, the blue is the most significant part of the pie chart here. Moving ahead to the next slide. What is this saving the town, and what's this saving our residents? With the understanding that the average consumption of a residence in town or a business in town is 662 kilowatts per month. That's the average consumption. You do the math, it's saving town residents and businesses over the course of 8 months. That includes the 2 months under the current Eversource program and 6 months under the upcoming Eversource program. That saves over $622,000 for the town, which translates into about $163 on average for a consumer in our town. Moving forward to the last slide. We're in the process of implementing this program right now. And Eversource conveniently has decided that while we are engaging with transferring town residents and businesses into this program, Eversource has decided that they want to upgrade their billing system. Very convenient. The timing is absolutely stellar. But what this is translating to is some confusion out in the community with regard to, gee whiz, why has my account number changed with Eversource? Account numbers are changing with Eversource because Eversource is upgrading its billing system, and as part of that process, all those that are part of the community are having their account numbers changed. That has nothing to do with Medfield Community Electricity. So don't be surprised if when you see that happening, because everyone, in fact, has had that account number changed. Mine has. The second thing I'll point attention to, it is that if anyone is viewing your online account, your account online, a couple of things to keep in mind. The June billing, which was issued for most town residents at the end of June, just a couple of weeks ago, the June billing for most residents and businesses was based on a meter reading at your residence or at your business that was recorded on June 25th or thereabouts. Okay? That recording was followed by a billing based on that recording for consumption that ran from the end of May through the end of June, through the 25th of June. That billing was at the Eversource basic rate, and the final billing at the Eversource basic rate of 17 plus cents that we were speaking to a moment ago. Now that the change is coming into effect in the month of July, when the next meter reading occurs at the end of the month, which will be again around the 25th, 26th of July now, this billing period, which will be followed immediately by billing, will represent consumption between the end of June and the end of July, and it will be at the new rate that is appropriate to each resident or business according to the three options that have been available. So effective with the next billing, you should see the new rates in effect. Anyone, again, who is happening to view online their account, you may have noticed that you see the Medfield Community Electricity Statement as being the new program that you're going to be a part of, but under that new program, it has the incorrect, at this point in time, the incorrect billing rate. It's still reading the Eversource rate of 17 plus cents per kilowatt hour. That should change in the course of the next couple of weeks before the month-end billing does occur. So when it comes to the month-end billing, I will escape if from my residence, my cell phone will not be with me if, in fact, the numbers are not correctly represented and billings go out properly. So,
Call Gus, don't worry about it.
I'm sorry?
We'll call Gus.
Right. So with that said, any questions that anyone might have?
No questions, but I just wanted to thank you for leading the town effort to get this accomplished and to save almost 4,000 households money on their electricity. Excellent work.
Thank you. It's been a collective collective process. Megan Sullivan, myself, Gus has been very active proponent for this program and a tremendous asset in bringing this forward as well. All of us have worked very hard together. There's an expression, TEAM, they call it TEAM. That acronym stands for Together Everyone Achieves More.
Excellent team. Excellent leader.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. If I do, that's probably a bad sign. But I will just pick up on Pete. You all should know that Bob, as the chair of this committee, has done a tremendous job of leading the committee, and I mean that certainly in the way we work together. That's true, but this is a process that's more detailed and in many ways more bureaucratically designed than the magnitude of our program here in town maybe justifies. But the DPU views us as an electric supplier. So whether we're just Medfield Community Choice Aggregation or whether we're some commercial supplier out there, at least until recently, the DPU, Department of Public Utilities, ran everyone through the same ringer. And there's a lot of detail. Bob has had a lot of follow-up. We've got a great consultant, but there's a whole lot of specific things that have to get taken care of. And Bob's done a tremendous job of keeping that organized, of following up, of maintaining an even temper throughout the whole thing, however frustrating that might be. And I'll also call Megan Sullivan for the quick response I think it's tricky for this committee we don't want to be in the middle of the public communications about this program because we shouldn't be in the middle of it. But when it's being introduced, there's confusion that shows up on social media. And I think Megan in particular has been very quick, very accurate, and very responsive without chasing every single thing that comes flying over the stern. So I've been impressed as someone who watches more than I talk, which is usually a good thing for me to be doing. But I've been impressed with the kind of responses Megan has had, the speed, the accuracy, but also a discipline to direct people to the website, to the good energy, the people that we're using. So despite Bob's comments, I just am on for the ride. These two have been doing an awful lot of the heavy lifting throughout this whole thing, and it's been impressive, and I'm delighted that Eversource didn't come to rates that were lower than what we were offering for the first, for this first period. Aside from how much money you save, it's also something that gives you 30 months worth of price stability. So just from a risk avoidance, you know what your electricity is going to cost you, and that has value too, over and above how much it saves you from month to month.
Thank you. Last comment I might raise is in the bottom left hand of each of those slides that you've been viewing. electricity.medfield.net, that's our website. For Medfield Electricity, you are directed to that website. If you go to the town website, look up Community Choice Aggregation, you'll be directed to this website. Thank
So
you very much.
I do have two quick questions. After seeing the slide that called out the members that stayed at standard, a few that dropped to basic, and a few that went up to 100%, if somebody's, because this is viewed on Medfield TV, it's replayed and you can see it on YouTube, if they see it and then say, well, what if I am in the middle and I do want to drop down? At what point can they change their tier to go down or go up?
They can change their tier at any time.
Okay, that's what I just want to confirm that if
And
anyone's
there's
seeing
no
this.
charges, no hidden costs, no fees of any nature.
Okay, and I will echo your comments. I do all of my Eversource online, and they have been very, very blatant. Like, you get on the site, and they're telling you that they're making upgrades. They're telling you that your account is changing because they're doing system upgrades. So hopefully, if people go on to the Eversource website, they'll know right away it's Eversource that's creating the chaos that's going on with billing. Has nothing to do with our program here whatsoever. So, but again, I will say, thank you to you, thank you to the committee. It takes a lot of time, and then you guys have been very persistent, and just thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's good. A lot of hard work. Ooh, don't hurt yourself. All right. And at this time, we're not too far off the timing here. 7 o'clock, a joint meeting with Parks and Recreation Commission, Select Board, to fill the vacancy on the Parks and Recreation Commission.
If they take 1 minute to come up here, it'll be right on time.
We'll be ahead of schedule.
Or is that?
Front row.
Yeah, it's actually the right time. This is good.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us.
First, I need you to call your meeting to order.
Oh, exactly. Joint meeting. I'd like to call the meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission to order. Roll call. Mel Seabolt. Thank you very much. We're very excited to have a former commissioner come forward and look to rejoin our commission. He was with us for 9 years, 2013 through 2022. He volunteered for virtually every position we needed someone to jump in at. He was most proficient at dealing with our Medfield. He was our liaison between the Medfield youth sports groups and any events that were being, or special events, and he handled the maintenance of the fields and also our facility at the FAF. So with that, I welcome Nicholas Brown back to the commission.
Okay. Great. Just process, Parks and Recreation needs to nominate Nick.
Okay, I will nominate Nick. We'll have a second. All in favor? Roll call.
Well, okay. Go ahead.
Well,
You're on a
did
roll.
You have to determine if there's any other nominations. Just nominated, and if there aren't, then you can go ahead and vote.
Oh, okay. Seeing that Nicholas was the only candidate, I'm assuming that we have no other candidates. So,
Yeah, guys, to the best of my knowledge, no, so I think we're good.
Very good.
And then you need to vote as well, roll call vote.
Okay, so,
So to be clear, this was a vote on the nomination of Nick. They haven't voted yet
No.
to actually
Right.
appoint him, and
Yeah.
we are we all doing a
You're all
vote? We're
doing
doing
a
a
roll
combined vote, okay.
but I will motion to support the request, okay, so I'll pass it on to you.
I move that we support the Parks and Recreation Commission's nomination of Nick Brown to fill the open slot on the commission.
I gladly second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we need to do a roll call, one, or are we okay?
Need to roll call?
Okay. Pete?
Yes.
Gus?
Aye.
Eileen? Yes.
And you need to roll call.
Right.
All in favor of Nick Brown's?
Individual names.
Yes.
Lauren Beetlesbucker, yes.
Mel Seabolt, yes.
And this, just for clarification, is to fulfill the term until the next election, which is in March of '25.
That's
Now,
correct.
do we vote to now support their, because we voted to support their nomination, so
Now
now,
you're gonna vote.
vote to support Nick Brown, in addition to the Medfield Parks and Rec Commission through next election in March of 2025. Gus?
Second. Oh,
Oh, no.
no, that's good. I love these Byzantine processes that we have. This is good. Second.
Okay.
All those in favor? Now we'll do a roll call.
And then roll.
Pete?
Aye, aye.
Pete, yes.
Aye. Gus. Murphy.
Eileen Murphy, yes.
Let's hope we never have to go through this again.
Woo! That was only one.
Also, we have former Commissioner Kirsty Young here, and Nick will be taking her place through her term. Kirsty did an absolute fantastic job for us, and we're lucky enough to have her for part-time to help us out with Parks and Rec, especially during our camp season, so.
Can I,
Is it through her term or through the next?
No, it's just through the next election.
The next
Through the
election.
and then with all you guys all here, can I just throw something out? You can cut me off if I'm not allowed to say what I'm about to say, but I just want to reach out to you to know that I've had a great one-on-one with Katie, and we're talking about what we've been talking at our last select board meetings, as we're talking about the school project, MSBA, and so I've talked to Katie, and I highly recommend you guys pull together to see kind of where are you with the building, where are you with, if you had tomorrow a dream location, dream setup, what would you want? And then I would highly encourage you start communicating with the school building committee, only because if there's a potential that we don't get into MSBA, that changes the rules on what we're allowed to do. And I just think it would be well worth your time to have a conversation with them, and because no one wants to speak on your behalf, but we also don't want it to be said a year from now, nobody said we should be engaging with them. So it's my nugget of.
We have a meeting on
Talk about
Thursday.
that. And we can talk about that at a further meeting.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's all I just wanted to
You
say.
don't want to talk about other problems with the fact.
It's on our,
Talk about that right now.
it's on our Thursday agenda, and
Okay.
we all watched the meeting where the three said, we haven't heard from Parks and Rec, so we'll discuss it at length.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Make it so, number one.
Moving on to Belforge requests permission to host rehearsal for life on August 1st and 2nd from 8 to 9. Anything you want to share on that, Jean, or just?
So Rehearsal for Life is a new summer camp program for us. The day part of the program is at the UU Church, but the kids want to perform at Belforge. It was originally scheduled for earlier in the evening, but they actually want to light the kids, so they want to do it as the evening gets a little bit darker. There's only about 10 families enrolled, so we don't anticipate a huge audience. And we have, when we did the winter event back in February, we have luminaries to light the way back to the parking lot.
Okay. So you need both the first and the second? Is it
First
two
will be
days?
their dress rehearsal, the second will be their
Oh, good,
performance.
okay, perfect.
No questions.
I think that's great. I'm assuming the police just need to know not to kick everybody out of.
I've already submitted the
You've already done
form
that,
and
okay.
had a conversation with Deputy McGrath.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
That's great.
Do we need a motion, or are we good? Support?
Sure, right, why not? I move that we approve the request for Belforge to host the rehearsal for life on August 1st and 2nd from 8 to 9 p.m.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Gene.
Okay. Rick, I see you in the back. We actually took you off the agenda because we've been reaching out to you to confirm a few things. And we actually, just as of yesterday, had said, have you not been getting the emails from Brittany?
No, I haven't. But I just checked the agenda today. I'm on it.
We updated about 2 o'clock. We've been sending you
Okay,
multiple
so
emails,
okay.
we didn't hear from you.
Well, so here's the only thing, what we wanted to get from you, so that we don't waste a lot of time, your time and our time, is last time you were here, we asked, did you get in front of the sign committee? Did you meet with the different ownership components of getting this fully approved? So that would be good to go approving. Like, I know we didn't know where we were gonna place it. We didn't know what it was gonna look like. Did you get a chance to do all
I've
that?
got everything you need to know, right down to the penny it'll cost, so. And I can do this in 2 seconds.
I'm okay with it, but I'm gonna ask in the future, that please pay attention to some of the emails, because I know you must be getting some of the emails from Brittany, and I saw the first one go out last week, because it was a question I had to her with,
Okay.
I just wanna make sure
I was
that
in
Rick's.
Disney for 10 days, and then I was up in the White Mountains. I'm sorry, I just haven't
Okay.
been looking at my emails, but I can have 5 minutes.
All right.
I can
Can't.
bang this out.
I can't, oh, sorry, okay, I'm getting shot down, sorry, I can't, if it's not on the agenda and it's been removed,
Yeah,
okay.
we'll move it right, we'll put it on in August.
It's a sign, guys, it's a sign.
All right, moving on, I didn't realize I can do that, sorry.
That's okay.
Select Energy to request the select board to sign the following for Blake Middle School rooftop solar system. An amendment to the PPA representing a reduction of rates from 14 cents kilowatt hour to 10 cent, 10 cent? Yeah, roughly,
10.7
almost
cents.
11 kilowatt hour. And then an amendment to the lease and the notice of lease.
So I'm just promoting Byron, who will walk you through great news for us.
Oh, good, okay, here we go. And let me jump to the contract.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we're good.
Excellent. Okay, well, thank you for your time tonight. Did just want to provide a brief update on the project. And we have provided these amendments to account for the fact that when we originally built the Blake system, it was inclusive of both a canopy as well as the rooftop project. And there was some equipment that was involved to combine those two systems. So when we found out we could not advance with the canopy system, we were able to optimize the equipment used for the rooftop system only and remove some of the capital costs, which resulted in a lower PPA rate. And so it's a benefit, obviously, for the town to have the better rate. I just sketched out here roughly in year one, the estimated savings based on the current rate is probably right around maybe a little bit more than $7,500 in electric savings in year one. And over the term is probably just north of $360,000 in savings just from the Blake system alone. One thing that I did want to note is we are advanced. This is the second system with Medfield that's coming online. We have Medfield Memorial, which should be, it's making its way through the Board of Health as well as the Planning Board. And so that one is advancing as well as the high school. So although this rate is lower, the other two canopies will likely include water management. So those PPA rates might be a little bit higher. So from a weighted average perspective, it may be in a similar place. But at this point, the only ask is to, approve the amendment, which provides the lower PPA rate. It includes the updated, what's called the addressable rate based on Medfield's most recent June bill for Blake, as well as the updated site plan, which shows up in the amendment to the PPA site, the amendment to the lease, as well as the notice of lease. The notice of lease is included in the original document set that was signed, and essentially it is just a notice for posting with the Registry of Deeds, so that you know it's clear that the roof is being leased, and that's pretty much it.
I don't know that much about this, so I'm gonna basically rely on Christine to tell me what to do on this one, so,
We would like you to approve it.
yes, I'm happy to approve it then.
So I was able to figure out from reading the documents in the packet that it looked like our rates were going down, so my first reaction was, that sounds good. With your explanation, I just have a couple questions so I understand. The canopies at Blake are not gonna be put up, and but it sounds like maybe the roof was reconfigured or something, and as a result of that, the rates for the electricity for that original planned project, the rates have gone down. I assume the total capacity, the total production of that project also has also gone down because the parking lot canopies aren't there. You're back on mute. I think you're on mute, Byron. Okay, now you, yep, we can. Yep.
Yeah, so that is correct, yep, and the cost per kilowatt hour generated from the canopy was more expensive, obviously, than the roof. So when that piece comes off, and then we optimize the equipment, your rate did come down.
Okay. It leads to my second question. If we're still planning a canopy at the Memorial School and a canopy at the high school, why does the canopy, I'm just trying to understand, why do the canopies make sense there and they didn't make sense at Blake?
Yeah, so it has to do with specific aspects of the property. So underneath the lot, underneath Blake's lot, there is a water containment area or disbursement area.
Okay.
And disrupted that. Also, there's the housing authority, which abuts that property, and it turned out that they actually have their property extends into that lot. And so when we do the setbacks combined with reducing the canopy based on where the water containment area is, the feasibility did not work. And actually for the hospital, there's a water retention area in the north part of that lot, almost where the media center is at the high school, you know, for the football field or the athletic field. So we've shifted the canopy further south in that lot to avoid that area. And that was discovered for the, you know, the design and feasibility for that as well too. So part of it is working with, you know, our discovery process as we're going through it.
Okay, last question. This is a math question here then. If the rooftop at Blake is something like 10 cents, but the combined project would have been 14 cents, that tells me the canopies are more than 14 cents a kilowatt hour. We just went, my question is really, are we putting canopies up and then paying premium electricity rates versus what we could get from Eversource? I'm actually talking about the conversation we just had on community choice aggregation, where Eversource is at 17 cents and our 100% is at 15 cents. So I'm just trying to understand the economics of putting those canopies. Do those canopies make sense even if they're technically feasible?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The answer is your Eversource, so particularly for the Blake School, your cost to compare right now at the Blake School is 16.17 cents per kilowatt hour on the dollar per kilowatt hour component alone. That does not include demand, it doesn't include the other fees, but that's your acceptable rate. So to the extent that we can
So one more question, it's still a math question. In the case of Blake, we're dropping down to 10 cents and we have that 25-year guarantee. If we only did the rooftops on Memorial and the high school, would we be locking in a similarly very attractive rate rather than possibly having a component of the overall project be higher than the current Eversource rate? In other words, could we do it better by not having canopies because it apparently is potentially cheaper to just have the rooftops?
Again, a good question. I think the biggest aspect of that has to do with roof readiness or solar readiness. So as part of looking at Medfield's overall portfolio of projects, they are inclusive of the roofs, but some of those roofs are not yet ready to go. So at Blake, when we look at the Blake roof, we only did one small portion of the overall school, and we can continue to build out as the other portions become ready.
Yep.
We did look at the high school, and there was a small portion of the high school roof which was ready. But it was right in the middle, and by the time we got the electricity there behind the meter, it was going to be more expensive. So we need to wait until the rest of the high school is ready. When that happens, though, the incentives continue to go down. So you're looking at the state incentives,
Okay.
roof readiness, and other opportunities to advance, and that all goes into the equation.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Byron, I just have one quick question. Because I walk at the high school with my dog, and I see where the solar's going to go, did we plan the improvements on that roof to prepare for the solar panels, or was that just a fluke that the school worked on that area and then that's where so it's more of a fluke than anything else? Okay. Okay. That's Christine nodding to me.
I'm
so.
nodding, yes. That was opportune leak.
Oh, okay. So new part. Okay, I get it. All right. So then, on that note, I think any questions from the audience? Okay.
I move that we sign the amendment to the PPA representing a reduction of rates from 14 cents per kilowatt hour to 10.7 cents per kilowatt hour. Can I do all three of these, Mark? So I also recommend as part of that document that we're signing, we agree to the amendment to the lease, having the new Exhibit B, and that we sign the notice of lease as well to be recorded as the official change to the lease. I'll note that this document has to be signed by all three of us, but also notarized.
Yes.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you, Byron.
Thanks, Byron.
Thanks, Byron.
All right, and let's see if we have our folks here. All right, the next one, do we have the folks from Power Home Remodeling? I see one number.
See a number. I saw a couple of the names earlier, and then they've dropped off.
It should be what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 folks from Power Home Remodeling.
Yeah, there was supposed to be one person representing them.
Well, there's one phone
Okay,
call as a participant. 407 area code, so might be.
Is the 407 number the person representing?
They were. Oh no, she's on. Okay, hold on one sec. Yep.
Oh, there. Yep.
Okay,
They're
perfect. All right. Frank, do you want to promote Fabrice? All right. So, Mark, should I open a public hearing?
Declare it open.
Okay, declare a public hearing open to discuss Power Home Remodeling solicitor's license requests from the following individuals: Fabrice Rene, Jeremy Hernandez, Jacob Gaia, Paul Vieira, Mike Malcolm, and Lucas Slane. Oh, there we go. All right, Mike, is that because the music's down and the volume's down? There we go. Sorry, our volume was down, so now we can hear you.
Why are we having the feedback issue, Mike?
Is,
Go over to the speaker, it'd be the speaker or the
no,
mic?
it's one of our microphones.
Microphones.
Mike, okay, not mine.
Mine's off.
Eileen, you are, well, no,
I'm off.
yeah.
It sounds like.
It's, yeah, yes, we can
Yes,
hear you.
we can hear it. Good.
All right, so you are representing the crew?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, and just, can you introduce yourself? I'm sorry, when you did, our volume was down.
No problem. My name is Fabrice Renee. I'm one of the managers here at Power Home Remodeling. Yeah, just requesting a solicitor's permit application to be able to work in the town of Medfield.
Okay. And you want to give us a little overview of kind of what Power Home Remodeling will be asking and the game plan?
Yes, ma'am. So our company has been around now 30 years, currently the largest exterior remodeler in the country. What we specialize in is roofing, windows, siding, and doors, all the exterior upgrades. Our responsibility as marketers is we offer the neighbors, well, the neighborhoods that we work in, free estimates on exterior upgrades, so roofing, windows, siding, and doors.
Pete, do you have any questions for this?
What days and times are you looking for?
So we work Monday through Friday and every other Saturday. Throughout the weekday, our schedule goes from 11 to 6:30, and every other Saturday it goes from 9:30 to 1 p.m.
And what are the dates that you're looking for?
So we're currently working right now in Braintree, but as soon as the applications are ready, we'd be willing to come work in Medfield. So whether if it's at like next week or the week after, it's to your discretion.
For how long?
3 months. Yes.
So they're requesting July 1st to the end of September. The only thing I see here is we're already at July 15th. So might we modify?
But we knew that we had to go through the town hall and everything. I just didn't know when that process was going to happen.
So do you want us to push those dates out a little, knowing that if you were asking for 90 days and we're already 15 days into that, and you're down in Weymouth? Braintree, excuse me. Do you want to stick with the dates that are on there, or do you want us to modify it to give you a legitimate window?
Well, we'll be done in Braintree by this week, so Friday. If we can start by next week and push it back for the days that we missed, that'd be great.
So middle, 15th of October.
Yes. So do July 15th, October 15th?
Yes, ma'am.
That works for me. That's fair. You good with that, Pete? Yep. Okay.
The only observation, in the applications, it says Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. It sounds like it's every other Saturday, and we gave some different times, just so that we have the right records in the police department on when you're doing stuff. I don't mind having it be a window that covers all the days. I think 10 to 7 covered everything, except there was one day that you said maybe you started at 9:30.
Yes, that's the every other Saturday schedule. So, because basically my group, we work 2 Saturdays out of the month. So those Saturdays we'd be there from 9:30 up until 1 p.m. But the weekday, the reason that we put 10 to 7 is because we get to our office and grab materials at 10 o'clock, and we basically don't stop shift until 6:30. But by that time, last call is like 7 o'clock.
So then I guess my only question is, should it be 9:30 to 7 p.m.? If you're starting at 9:30.
Yeah, we only start at 9:30 on Saturdays, but if you guys want to make it 9:30 for the whole thing, that's okay.
So I'm hearing Monday through Friday, 10 to 7. Every other Saturday, 9:30 to 7.
9:30 to 1.
Yes, ma'am.
9:30 to 1 or 9:30 to 7?
1 to 1 to 1 to
Sorry.
1. Saturdays are short schedule, yeah.
So then do Monday through Friday, 10 to 7. And Saturday, 9:30 to 1. I would suggest we just do Saturday 9:30 to 1. You're making an operational decision. You only do it every other Saturday. We don't, if we're gonna let you do 2 Saturdays, we'd let you do 4 if you decided to. So
Yep.
just to keep it simple, we just make it Saturday for 9:30. And then if you have a really bad Saturday, one Saturday, and you wanna do it a different Saturday, you're covered.
Yes, sir, thank you, I appreciate that.
All right, no other questions?
Close the hearing.
Ma'am.
Checking with the police.
Yeah, Brittany reviews that with them.
Yeah, and Fabrice, what our attorney just said, just as a reminder, is when you guys are coming into town, just check in with the police, just so if they get any phone calls, you're reminding them that you're in town. And then,
Yes, ma'am.
and your names will be on our website, on the town website. We let our residents know what solicitors have been approved and for what time, what dates. So, we'll make sure your names are in there effective July 15th through October 15th.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, I move that we approve the requests for the following individuals, from Power Home Remodeling to solicit in Medfield, on Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., on Saturdays from 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., from July 15th until October 15th. The 6 people: Fabrice Rene, Jeremy Hernandez, Jacob Guy, Paul Vieira, Mike Malcolm, Lucas Slane.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, good luck with it, Fabrice. All right. He's gone.
You declare the public hearing closed.
Oh, and I declare.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. I declare our public hearing closed. All right, discussion items. Discussion of branding Town of Medfield logo. So I know, Pete, you brought this to our attention. You shared an email with us to view a recording of what the town of Amesbury went through. They overviewed what they had done, and so I will let you kind of kick in and.
Okay, thank you. So this comes out of a Mass Municipal Association webinar that I think Gus and I both watched. And Amesbury had a kind of a clunky town seal, like I think we do. And they opted to keep the town seal and instead create a town logo through a branding process. They have, they're much bigger than we are, so they have a director of communications, I think was the person who led the process for them. I think they spent very little money on it, maybe $5,000 total. They didn't really have a lot of public input. They just decided on what they were going to do, and I sent those to Frank to show everybody. Needham and Newton have done the same thing recently, keeping their seals but creating a logo for the town. So I just thought it would be a good process for the town of Medfield to think about going through too. We've gone through a recent wayfinding process where we created some images for the town and some colors and things of that sort for the signage, and I think that's waiting on getting some money together, isn't it, Chris, to implement that?
So we have the money and we're looking to start implementing that. I don't think anybody loved the images that came out of that wayfinding. So we have been looking about whether or not we should take another look at the images that were generated.
Merge those
Yeah.
those things together. So that's all it is. So there's Amesbury. Their town seal was a round town seal with a carriage in it because 150 years ago they built carriages in town, but they haven't for probably 100 years. I don't remember exactly how long. Can you show the Needham and the Newton ones, Frank, please?
And Pete, I did watch the recording.
Did you? Good.
Took it all in.
I mean, they seem to do it very efficiently, very inexpensively.
I mean, I'll say, I like our seal, so I would not be looking to change that. I mean, considering we're the 31st town in the state of Massachusetts to be registered as a town, I think there's some history to be said there, and I think it kind of tells a little bit of our story. Our history doesn't change. We might be making different things, so we don't have a carriage on there.
Well, I mean, we've got 13 original settlers that to me look like haystacks. I
Don't
know.
tell Mark Fisher that.
No, I'm
I will.
just voicing my opinion that I'm not gung ho in changing the seal. I think the Wayfinder study would be interesting to see.
I mean,
how
I think
that
the
plays.
seal was done by Monk, I think, originally, but I think, you know,
Doesn't make
it's
it
very
bad.
dated looking to me.
This webinar was not a webinar about Amesbury changing its seal. It should be clear on that. This was a marketing logo to try to draw people to be attracted to stop in Amesbury rather than use Amesbury. I mean, Amesbury for me is always Route 95 going to White Mountains. And you'd go through there just as you get to the border. And that's what they said. Everybody looks at it. It's like worse than 109 and 27 for Medfield. It's like two highways. But it was interesting because the mayor wasn't exact about it, but the way she expressed it was to make it very clear, we are not changing our seal. The seal, I think, is a legal picture that represents the town. That's not what they did. They came up with a different logo that they were using for marketing purposes. So we're not having a debate about changing the seal. We're having a discussion about whether it makes sense to look at developing a logo that presumably would be, you know, like the eat, buy, shop local, but in a more graphic logo thing that people would associate with Medfield.
Yeah. And that I'm not opposed to. I think what they talked about in Amesbury is they started to associate certain colors. So I will make this up. If Parks and Rec in Medfield is associated with blue, that if you saw something with the bluish shade but still the universal logo, that would be calling out their side of it. And so it was really more of a consistent a logo that you would see across the town, but each department had a little flavor of what theirs looked like. So I mean, that's a different discussion than changing our town.
One of the things that concerned me a little bit around when they did that, that's absolutely right. They have the basic logo, but then each of the main, certainly public safety departments and highway department, and I can't remember, probably Park and Rec, but they also had their own letterhead. And so all of a sudden now, instead of having town letterhead that every department uses, every department has its own variation of the letterhead that's got a particular color, and presumably people could just look from a distance, and depending on what the color was in the upper left corner of this, they'd know what department was sending it. Seems a little bit over engineering for me, and the logistics of doing that may or may not be hard. You can build a template and you'll automatically get whatever colors you want as long as you have color printers. But that was not. Pete, my recollection was Amesbury spent $15,000 for the consultant, so it wasn't 5, it was 15, which is still not, you know, huge amount of money. But they did have a communications director. They funded it. Interestingly, this was the part that I thought was interesting. The mayor, that somebody asked, well, how did you get it approved? And the mayor said, I didn't have to get it approved. I have money in the mayor's budget, and I just decided we were going to do it. I didn't have to get it through the city council. We just did it. And so there were a few things that she did, I think, that expedited the process that were somewhat unilateral compared to what we might ordinarily do. Pete, it's not like it's a bad thing to do. But the one thing that struck me that Amesbury, and I think maybe the others did, is that the town starts with the purpose of what the message is that it's trying to send. Mm-hmm. And then you could hire a consultant to say, well, this is we want to send this vibe. Mm-hmm. And then a consultant can work with you to try to come up with images for that vibe. Mm-hmm. For us right now, I'm not sure what Medfield's projected vibe would be, and I'm particularly mindful of Belforge as being what I think will turn out to be an identity influencing element in our town when it's up and running. It's the thing that's going to make a lot of people know who we are. Mm-hmm. So I'm hesitant not about the logo for the sake of the logo, but I'm saying I don't know what our purpose for that logo would be, other than to have it. The other practical thing that Amesbury did that I don't think we would want to do is they were talking about taking that logo and re-graphics on all their police cars, on their fire engines. Yeah, and so it's like all of a sudden now you got to have a logo that's both maybe kind of neat for people who are visiting as tourists, but it also is functional, and you got to redo all your vehicles to look a different way. So I see more money hidden behind the actual process. The counter for that for me was I just happened right after that webinar to be driving through Natick. And Natick is using the Massachusetts Cultural Council logo. They've got that. If you go through the center of downtown of Natick, you'll see that in a lot of places. And I acknowledge this was after the webinar, so I was thinking about it. It's like, well, that's interesting. I'm seeing logos in Natick. Happens to be the logos are the Massachusetts Cultural Council, but you know what? I'm sitting there in my head saying, I wonder what Natick is doing in the culture and arts area that suddenly this visual's starting to show up everywhere as I'm driving through the center of town. I know they got some stuff, but maybe they have more stuff than I know about. And that was my own reaction. So I think a logo could be good, but we got wayfinding signs, we've got Belforge, but possibly we have a 375th anniversary coming up. Mm-hmm. And so even if it's not a permanent logo, I could see us trying to figure out some way of developing an image in advance of our 375th anniversary. And maybe you don't hire consultants for it. Maybe you have competitions within the town. It would be a lower cost effort. It might also be a shorter effort. And that was, one of the things that people said was, that actually it was a different webinar. They said, don't be afraid to experiment. That was the culture and arts thing that I just sent you webinar. I said, don't be afraid to experiment with stuff. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to, I'm not trying to kill the whole idea of the logo, but it seems to me if we really wanted to do it, the first step would be for us to be clear about what the message is or the impression is we're trying to create. And then I think we got to get a few logistics things, whether we're going to redo all our police cars and fire engines, or if this is more just kind of something that's out there as a visual.
Or add them as you acquire a new cruiser or a new vehicle.
But then you're going to go through how many years with mixed. I don't think you do it that way with public safety vehicles.
Well, it depends on how expensive it is to put a logo on the side of a Mack truck.
Yeah, I don't know.
They seem to last 25, 30 years.
Yeah,
so.
that's
The way I look at it is we put the discussion out there. People, Chris, hopefully this will be something you'll toss out in the Medfield Insider and just get people thinking about it. And we're not going to solve it here tonight. We're not going to kill it here tonight. But now the conversation's out there and go from there.
Just a little bit of context. I did talk to the deputy town manager in Needham today, and they just launched, which you can see up there, they just launched this last week, and they're looking feedback from their residents on these two different ones. They formed a committee. They are about $45,000 into development of this, and then they anticipate the first rollout would be $50,000 to update stationery, business cards, that kind of thing. They are going to incorporate it into their wayfinding, but they're going to do it on an incremental basis. But just for some context, because I had heard about Amesbury being $5,000, so I was curious as soon as I saw Needham, because I think it looks really good. But they said $45,000, and they're not done yet. So
okay,
just so
that kind of makes it's 15. My recollection was 15,000 is what they paid for the consultant. But when they had a full-time communications director who was spending nearly full time on this thing, I can see how you get to $45,000 pretty easily if you didn't have one.
Yeah.
So.
And I think, Gus, you were talking
about. Did it create a cultural district?
Yeah, their downtown's their cultural district. Yeah.
Gus,
yeah.
Gus,
And it makes a visual impact.
As has Frank.
Yeah.
Gus, a lot of things that you were talking about were done through the wayfinding discussion that's already been had, so colors, that sort of discussion.
Things that Amesbury did or things that we've done?
That we did during the wayfinding.
We had some initial discussions, and Maria and I have been talking about, we're not overwhelmed and excited about them. I want to see a logo and have this reaction when I see it, when I saw Needham say that this is really great. When I look at ours that we did, they're good, but they're not great. So if you want, Maria and I can start having a conversation, about how we could incorporate that. We do have $150,000 in wayfinding money. We can have a discussion about what a redesign of what that wayfinding logo would be and start from there.
Okay.
That's fair. The other, I'm definitely sensitive to, we have a school project coming up, so just having idle conversations about improving the graphical impressions people have in Medfield that are going to cost us $150,000 is, but what we were going down the wayfinding path, and as I was talking and as I think about what I said, I'm actually intrigued about the idea of trying to do, maybe you could call it a simple pilot, not intended to be a long-term thing, but to do something that's targeted to the 375th. That might get you the logo that lasts, or it might get you to better understand how a logo, what the logo's impact might be in the town, or what did we do right or wrong on the 375th that we shouldn't do the same way before. I think the Amesbury one's pretty mundane. You know, it's the kind of graphic I'd expect a graphics consultant to come up with, and those lines, they're supposed to be the spokes from the old carriage, or so there's some abstract.
If you didn't listen to that conversation, you would never get that out of it.
You never get it out of it. But I just thought it was kind of a graphics thing that, so.
So just to kind of keep things moving, we good?
Keep going.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll come back to you with some ideas.
Okay. All right, so move to some action items. Vote to sign the affiliation agreement between the town of Medfield and Simmons University to host an intern to provide clinical and educational experience within the Medfield Outreach Department for 11 months.
Yes, and I apologize, Kathy McDonald could not be here tonight. She is actually representing the town at the Wilkins Glen Summer Cookout.
Oh, nice.
So she is representing all of us, so she could not be here tonight. This is a similar agreement to we've had in the past with Boston College. This year, we have been offered interns from Simmons University. So Kathy's in full support and want to get those interns on board as soon as possible.
Excellent idea.
And the only question I had, we deferred this from the last meeting, right? And I couldn't remember why we deferred it. Was it just that Kathy couldn't make it?
No, I think there was some back and forth in the contracts.
There was still back and forth.
We did, I reviewed it and had sent some revisions, and Brittany forwarded them to Simmons and informed me that they incorporate them.
Okay.
Yes, everything should be good.
Were there any of those, were those kind of detailed concerns, or were there any issues? Because I read it last time, and I didn't see anything wrong with it, but were there any, were the issues that were the back and forth, big deal issues, little deal issues, or?
They were not insignificant.
Okay. And but they gave us what we wanted, I guess is what.
That's my understanding.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, I move that we sign the affiliation agreement between the town of Medfield and Simmons University to host an intern to provide clinical and educational experience within the Medfield Outreach Department for 11 months.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 14, vote to sign the contract with VHB for design development site civil engineering plans for the Medfield State Hospital redevelopment housing works grant. And I see. So do you want to jump up at so Christine, how do you want to manage this? I know we've gone over this contract a few times.
You've gone over it. We've incorporated the changes from last time. There were a couple of mistakes that were carried over from contract revisions, so we apologize. I think Lisa and I had a little contract fatigue before we both went on vacation. We met with Trinity yesterday. We've met with VHB. We believe we've incorporated everything. We have added a sentence in there. I know you have some concerns about the intersections. We understand that we want a roundabout in that intersection. We are going
We don't understand anything.
So we have called it out that there may be a different concept than what has been presented in here. We know that's a possibility. VHB has to meet with the select board, with you and Mo, to determine exactly what they'll be designing before they can do that. There may be additional cost to that contract. We know that is available within the MassWorks grant we received, either in this $5 million or the next $5 million. So we're comfortable with moving forward with it at this point.
Pete?
So I'll start by saying that I got the revised documents at 5 o'clock today, and I didn't have time to look at them. I looked for the revised plans for the intersections, because that was the thing that was foremost in my mind, and I saw that those hadn't changed.
So we don't have any revised plans because we haven't had a chance to work with VHB, and unfortunately it's a timing issue. We can't have VHB redesign those intersections until they're under contract with us.
Okay.
So that's,
And
but
so
we
that's-
fully plan on implementing that.
Yep, so that's my issue, that the
Yep.
contract is showing things that we don't want, or I don't want. And that includes the parking lot. I know that you said something about the
So
planning board.
the parking lot, if you look at what I sent you, there was an
I
original.
didn't have time to look at what you
Okay.
sent me, I'm sorry, because it was so
And I
late.
apologize, we were working on this past 1 o'clock in the morning last night, working to get this to you. So our final revisions were done this morning after everybody had a couple cups of coffee. The parking lot that was originally submitted in April of January of 2023 was an expanded parking lot that we had not agreed upon as the select board and had not have been presented at the special town meeting. We asked Trinity to go back, we met with them, we had several discussions in executive session, we redesigned that parking lot, and that's what's been incorporated as the approval from the planning board. So the design that's in the planning board approval is the design for that water tower parcel that stands now.
Correct.
Any discussion about changing that parking lot will happen outside with the select board at a later date, but it's been approved through the planning board process at this point.
So I don't remember having a discussion with the neighbors about that particular design, because I thought it was gonna be narrower and farther away from the neighborhood. It was my memory.
So we had some.
But I may be remembering it wrong, and I may have gotten it wrong, but that would be my goal, is to pull it farther away from the neighborhood than showed on the plan that I saw, as I say very quickly, at 5 o'clock today. So my issues are that I don't want to sign a contract that has things in it that I don't want to have the town agree to. But if you tell me that those are things that can change at a later time, then I'm happy to go ahead.
That's either one.
Whatever one you're more comfortable at it, Abby.
Thanks for having me here tonight. First of all, in relation to the designs of the intersections in the parking lots, I believe those drawings that are in the contract say at the bottom to be reviewed by the select board. So they're in there because we don't have any other designs. So they have to start somewhere, and it's clear that those will be reviewed. That just has to be part of the.
And Abby, I'm fine with that as long as I'm being told that the town is not committed to those designs.
Yes,
And apparently that's what
we're
being told.
We're agnostic to the designs that you want for the offsite intersections, as long as they achieve the safety goals, I think, that are desired and are not triple the cost. I mean, I think there was we've included those in the budget that we received for MassWorks. So we're happy to work with the town on that. And it's the town's contract. So you guys are going to be in control of that design process, and we'll work with you. I'm completely unaware. I know there have been conversations with the neighbors about the parking lot. I was unaware there was a request to change the parking lot design, and my understanding was that was approved by the planning board. So I'm not sure what that process is going forward, because it seems to throw open a design that went through the public process before.
So the parking lot that we see now is what was discussed. The original one that got a significant pushback, including myself, and I think I reached out too, was when it went from like 72 to 100 and something, 180 something. You guys did come back, you modified it, you pulled it so it's longer and skinnier, and it's back to sub 100 cars. I know you came in, we met with the neighbors, there was a discussion of fence and lights. So I believe what you presented in the contract is what was discussed. Now, what has been said is when the trucks are there and they start digging, they may realize that they have more room to pull it further away from the neighbors because of the way the cement is laid out from the old water tower. So I think in the end of the day, it's only going to get better, it's not going to get worse.
Okay, but I guess I'm just a little bit confused, because I know we have to go through a subdivision. We have our planning board approval, which was site plan approval conditional upon a number of things that we have to come back for. I don't recall that being the parking lot.
And I don't believe it was either, to be honest. I think that the parking lot, I know it came up because Pete, you brought it up at the last meeting that you thought there was still another go of it. But I went through some notes. Christine and I were talking. What has been presented and what was approved is where we're at. It won't get any bigger. It could get closer, but to the road and to the buildings, and pulled away from the neighborhood. But there's no intent, based on the way it's laid out today, to get any closer. Okay, so I think the parking lot is technically kind of a non-issue right now, because we are where we are, and it's what was presented and approved by the planning board and discussed at great length with the select board.
Okay.
So as I say, I had to look at this very quickly around 5 o'clock tonight, and so I'm just not sure of what I thought I saw on a Schedule H that was sent to me around 5 was an enlargement of the parking lot moving towards the neighbors, and so that's
No,
what
it's
concerned me.
it's the same 72 spots that were
Yeah.
presented at town meeting.
All right,
There's
I
no
just was
bait and
looking, as I
switch
say.
on the parking lot. No,
very
we
quickly.
are designing, or VHB will design what was approved by the planning board. If there's a request to change it, that's new information to us.
And just one other thing. So the only thing that Christine and I were talking about beforehand is where you're getting caught in a pickle right now is Mo and Beta came to us a year and a half ago.
Yeah, a year and a half ago.
And did a quick, hey, these are the intersections we're looking at, that Beta was paid to look at, and these are the ideas. And then those pictures evolved to suddenly be in this contract. And as I was saying to Christine, the only thing and it says draft, so we know for certain that's not what we're agreeing to. And I know this is being recorded, so if anyone ever says what was said, they can go back to tonight's meeting. What is in that contract, those images of the hospital in Harding and the images of North and Harding are drafts. We still know we need to meet. To me, now the onus is, we need to put a stake in the ground, select board, Christine, look, to say, okay, we're gonna decide this, and we can't keep pushing it out, and all of a sudden we push it to, Eileen, it has to be signed tomorrow, or now you gotta, like, no, I don't wanna be rushed. These are significant intersections in this town, and you're not doing it, so it's not on you, Abby, at all. It's just I know this contract needs to get signed so that we're not putting any money in jeopardy while we're getting ready to ask for next year's allotment, because if we miss out on $5 million, that's significant and it's a game changer. So that's not the intent of what's going on here. We just need for everyone to understand, if anyone at home is looking at this info packet, those intersections are drafts. We will, and Christine, we can put this a priority over the next, whether it's next month. I know we're not meeting again till late August, but like September, October, we've got to put a stake in the ground and answer this question and flush it out.
I actually respectfully request, we need this information. We do need your input on those designs. We needed it in April or May. This delay, the select board we've created the contract, work with VHB. We're now in jeopardy of missing all of the timelines that we've put out to complete permitting by the end of the year. We cannot wait a couple months for the input.
No, we're anticipating having VHB at our very next meeting in August to have this discussion about the design of the intersections.
Okay, but we can have that, happen ahead of time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because we can't lose another month.
Yes.
No, trust me, that's why I'm not thrilled that we're still this far out and we haven't sorted this out.
Yeah.
We should have sorted out 6 months ago. I don't know why. And
Well,
there's no logic
it's
to me as to why it's
because
taking this long.
we can't sort it out till we have the contract signed, and that the pictures don't just say draft, they say draft subject to select board review.
Right, and
But
we
they're
have
just
language in there that there could be
placeholders.
different
Yeah. Right.
concepts
Yeah.
designed
So-
for those intersections.
Okay. So we've not been intentionally dragging our heels. We've never had
I get
and
that.
I'm not saying that you
it's
are,
it's just been a long process, and we need to.
but we do not want to lose out on any money.
Request, yes, that we use the money.
Gus?
I'll provide the flip perspective of what you're saying, Abby, is that we actually expressed our concerns about these that year and a half ago when these first came out. And when I saw them in this contract for the first time a month or however long ago, and yes, it does say it's subject, I'm sitting there saying, they're just ignoring our comments. They're putting it in, and what we're going to be told is, there is no time, I guess we better go with this, which is kind of why I stuck my nose into this process in the last couple of weeks. I'm optimistic the Harding Hospital intersection, it may change, but there already was an alternative design that Beta did, so it's not, and it's just, it's what it looks like. It's not a big deal.
We're agnostic.
The one down on North and Harding is a more complicated, it's not that we will put a roundabout there, but we all felt, I think we all felt that it was worth looking at putting a roundabout there. And so the idea that, oh no, it's just gonna be this thing here, that's why we need to have this conversation, and it's good that we're gonna have it in August. So that I just didn't get this thing nailed down, because my position hasn't, my view hasn't changed. I won't say my position
Mine hasn't either, and this doesn't reflect my views, which is why I bring it up.
Right.
And,
What I'm saying is, when we had this discussion a year ago, when we saw the Beta options, I think our views were actually somewhat similar in terms of at least things that we thought needed to be considered. And then there was no conversation, but then they show up here and it's like, well, probably they shouldn't have gone into a contract.
Well, I think it's also because you have we have Beta's not part of this contract. Beta's not. I think there's some. We need to get VHB on board.
Yeah,
on this
I also
contract.
think we applied last May 2023, for this money to do the work. So we did not proceed with the work till we got we could not proceed with the redesign from May as we waited for the $5 million. You know, there was a chance we wouldn't get anything and the project would have stalled. The project received a grant. So we didn't advance work, not knowing if we had the support of the state behind us. We got that support in the fall. We've been working on the contract. So we haven't been ignoring you. We've just been waiting for the
I don't think, I wasn't pointing my finger at you, Abby.
No, I know you're not.
I actually think it's probably internal to the town that should have driven the discussion. I mean, to the extent that DPW showed us some of the stuff to start with.
Right.
None of us are road designers. We
all
have some
good.
other concerns, so
Yeah.
it's not really trying to point fingers. It's just that, well, it's there and it says it's subject to our approval. How are we going to run this to ground? And looks like we're going to run it to ground in August. That's fine. That's fine.
All right, I sense, Bill, you have a question?
So I'll start by saying I would like very much for this to go forward. I'm not looking to cause any delays or anything else, but I have two comments I'd like to make. The first one is on the parking lot. The neighbors, based on the last tour that we took with Dan Moore on the property up there, I've spent 2 years now pointing out to people that the foundation of the old water tower is still there, which appears to be very close to where the 71 parking spaces are positioned. The neighbors, I think, reluctantly have agreed to 71 units, 71 parking spaces. They would like, obviously, fewer. They're still not thrilled with the exact location. I would ask that you continue to follow through with my suggestions to come up with the location, the real location, not what's on the map, but nobody's laid out any stakes yet or anything else. Dan said that he was going to be laying out stakes so that the neighbors could come up and look and to see where those parking lot was going to be located. To my knowledge, that hasn't been done. So I would ask you to at least bear in mind that there may be a need to relocate where the parking lot is. I'm not saying where. I don't know where exactly it can go. I don't know where the best place is. I don't know what fits your plans. But the neighbors still think that there is a chance that that parking lot will be moved. The same size, but maybe moved.
So can I draw a couple, I want to see if we have lines that are clear here. The parking lot as depicted in the current diagram as approved by the planning board reflects the same plan that was approved by the town in a town meeting. So we have an approved plan. Just hear me out,
Yep.
The size of that parking lot, although you initially proposed a larger parking lot, we went back down to the original size of the parking lot that was in the original plan, approved by the town, now approved by the planning board. That's what's in the diagram right now. You've raised some technical, on the ground, practical technical issues that say where you think you're going to put that parking lot. I know. Where you think you're going to put that parking lot happens to be on land that some of it is going to be concrete that nobody could manage to get out of there. And so I'm not sure you're going to be able to put a parking lot where you think, where this map says it's going to go. That's entirely possible that that's technically true on the ground physics. It's possible. What I think the neighbors, the abutters, their concern was the proximity of the parking lot to where they live.
That's correct.
I think, and this, Abby, this might be a question for you, if the conditions on the ground required a change to the configuration of the parking lot from what's in the current diagram, the one thing, everything we've talked about is that that parking lot would ooze farther down. It would get narrower and ooze farther to the right if it did anything.
Yes.
So what I'm getting at is, I don't think this is reopening a discussion of how close the current parking lot is to the abutters.
Right.
And if we know that we're not talking about making it go closer to the abutters, it doesn't seem to me the abutters should be Trinity, you guys need to be concerned because you're trying to design a parking lot. But the abutters don't have an issue if the parking lot turns out to be skinnier or not as deep, farther away from them. That's an improvement in their mind. And it goes farther down the road because it has to, because of this concrete, that's a technical judgment you guys are gonna make. I'm just trying to see, is that kind of
Just
ground
jump,
truth
either
right
go
now?
to that mic or that mic, just because no one's gonna ever hear you at home, Abby.
So this is the first I'm hearing that there's old foundations under the ground of the parking lot.
I've sent photos to
That's
Trinity.
that's fine.
That's all right.
But
the old water
regardless, that's a decision. You know, we pull out foundations all the time. So that's in my mind. That's if it's an old foundation, abandoned foundation, or if it's an existing foundation. There's a big.
It's the base of
difference.
the old water tower, right?
So the town chose, when we took the old water tower down, the town chose not to dig it up and
Right,
put, they just
for
put dirt and grass
cost,
over it. and
yeah.
done. So what Bill's saying is, how deep do you think that is?
Well, it's 3 feet high, and
So-
it's
so
it's
so I
3
know what you're
feet
saying,
high,
Abby,
and it's
is
probably as deep as it needs to be to support 1 million gallons of water.
Okay, so that's something. Again, I haven't been involved in this detail of it, so that's something we'll need to look into. And again, the size of the parking lot won't grow, but we do not have intention to go back and start redesigning the parking lot.
I guess what I'm saying is your discussion as it was being held here was that parking lot, the size, 71, I have no objections to that. The neighbors, while they certainly probably would have liked it to be smaller, they were happy to get it back from the 171 units or whatever back to the original 71 that was in the original plan. However, I guess I am just concerned about the fact that it's being, I would say cast in concrete, but
Well, we all know, Bill, to be quite candid, we haven't even laid out the
There
final,
are
final,
unknown
final
conditions
lines for the
there.
entire lot, right? So that like we're
That's-
talking when you get to the back right-hand corner, how's it exactly going to be cut? That final will occur. But I think in the spirit of what we're trying to do is this contract is vital to move along so that the state is comfortable that we are acting on the $5 million. We're not pushing it out, because they're going to say, you know what, you don't need the $5 million. We'll give you more next year.
I'm-
Like, no, we need to move it forward. We don't want anyone to be under the disillusion that we're talking about doing anything different with the parking lot than what's been there since we did the special town meeting in June of 2022. That's been the same. They came back with a revision. We're like, nope, you got to go back to your original, what the town voted on, and that's where we are right now.
I'm just looking for a recognition that there are some unknowns about that parking lot and the shape of the parking lot and where exactly it will go. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's
and that's
good
all they're
news.
looking for.
Yeah, that's good news to know. And I guess my only question is if we kind of act on that and do ground penetrating radar and figure out where it is and say, you know what, that doesn't make sense to put the parking lot there. Just what is the process to change that parking lot configuration? Is it, I thought it was with the planning board, but is it?
I would expect.
Well, ultimately, I would think it would be, but
Yeah, so, okay, so I will go back to my team, I'll communicate, I'm sure they already know this, I wasn't in this level of.
Dan does, and I've
Yeah,
sent
Dan
him
does.
some photos.
So
of it.
as we continue with VHB on this design, we'll take
That's
that
fine.
into consideration.
That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, no,
Again, as I
that's
said
great.
before, I'm not looking to stop anything or cause any problems or any issues. I just wanted an acknowledgement or aware. You're going to find other things there.
Of course,
Oh, God.
yeah.
The rest of the property, I'm sure, that are going to be unknown conditions and
Yeah.
everything else. So, I mean,
So the two stakes in the ground I was trying to put here in tonight's conversation is, if that parking lot doesn't go in exactly the way that diagram shows it, it would only be if Trinity made a business decision that we just discovered a huge chunk of concrete, and the cost of doing that, we'd like to actually, for our own business, reasons,
Yeah.
we'd sure like to have some flexibility to not have to tackle Mount Gibraltar if we could find a way to do
Right.
it differently. If you reached that business conclusion,
Yeah.
what I was trying to say to Bill and the abutters is, whatever the alternative would
Yes,
be.
it should not be closer.
Would not involve moving.
Closer, of course,
should not be
of
It
course.
might
No,
move
we're not.
farther down, or it
Yes.
might get
That's
thinner
correct.
and longer.
Yes.
But it's not good,
Yes.
so the things the abutters are worried about, what I'm really trying to say is, this is not reopening up a negotiation
No.
with the
Right,
abutters.
right.
Because the
No.
things the abutters care about shouldn't be something the abutters are gonna have to worry about.
Right.
If we get to that point and cross that bridge, then there's a question of how you get a revised
Fine.
approval of a
Yeah.
revised plan. But that's gonna be driven more by what the circumstances are you're facing.
Yep.
And they shouldn't be, I'm not saying don't keep watching, but they shouldn't be issues of concern to the abutters who are concerned about how close the parking lot was. That's all I was trying to get.
And one more comment, just, I didn't notice, I skimmed through the contract, I noticed that there are no provisions for any natural gas lines to the property.
No, it's all electric.
Okay, curious, okay.
So the other thing I noticed in my skimming of the Exhibit H was that the boundary line at the back of the property against the north field looked like it had changed, and that concerned me.
No, we still have our access to the backfield.
All right,
And we
and
haven't
the
done
property, it
And
abuts
we haven't
the.
done
We haven't done the
we haven't done the
subdivision,
subdivision
yeah.
plan. That'll all be finalized in the subdivision
All right,
plan.
but there was a plan that I saw very quickly at 5 o'clock today that showed the lines at an angle instead of in the squared off version that actually touched Canal Street or whatever the name of that back street
Well,
is.
that will all be done during the subdivision plan.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Abby, while you're here, can you maybe just tell us how things are going at Trinity? We're all very interested
Sure.
in how your success is
Sure.
unfolding.
So we have been working with Mass Historic and the National Park Service. That's really right now our main priority. Is we received our Part 2 approval earlier in the spring from the National Park Service, which makes us eligible for the federal historic tax credit. What we also need is our Part 2 approval from Mass Historic Commission. They have asked us a series of very detailed questions. We've responded to all of those detailed questions, and I think are heading back out to the property again to answer more detailed questions. But we've, in April, submitted our responses as well as another application for historic tax credits. We're, knock on wood, hopeful that in August we may hear about our first award of state historic tax credits, which we're relying on. We're also pretty hopeful and have been having conversations as early as or late as yesterday with the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities about potential for more infrastructure funding. That infrastructure funding is the critical path that allows us to seek the private financing. So that's really where our focus has been. We've authorized, in conjunction with the signing of this VHB contract, hopefully, our design team to advance design. So that was a significant commitment. We've made an investment to continue the design of the project so that we can update our construction pricing. So it's moving forward.
Saying you're doing construction drawings?
Not construction drawings, we're finishing design development, so very detailed drawings of each building, incorporating the comments that Mass Historic Commission gave us, so advancing that design effort. So that's about a 6-month design effort. All of this was with the goal of, by the end of the year, doing the site plan approval and the stormwater approval and the subdivision approval. The delay of the contract has delayed that, so we're going to be pushing VHB hard with the city or the town to help us get there, but we're a few months delayed because of the delay.
The delay of the VHB contract. Oh. So that the historic tax credits, federal, is you get in one lump sum, or they come in multiple years?
So
the state comes in multiple years, doesn't it?
So the federal is as of right. If you do all of the things you commit to do that are in line with the National Park Service's standards, we will then sell that credit to an investor to get the funds in, and those will fund the construction of the project. The state is also, the recipients of the tax credit will get it over years. We will sell those credits to get the money to build the project. We've relied on, we're assuming a certain amount of tax credits per each building in line with what we've received before. The delay of the state signing off on our plans has delayed us by 1.5 years at least. We had hoped to get our first allocation back in January 2023. We've been applying for tax credits since January 2023.
Yeah, and the state tax credits can keep coming in year after year.
Yeah, we
after
can
year.
keep applying, and we will keep applying probably till my kids are out of college by now. But yeah, so we will be keep applying till we reach the maximum which you can get, which is 20%.
And with mass development or whatever it's called now, One Works or whatever the state.
The Mass
grant
Works.
What Mass Works?
Yeah, yes.
You're gonna keep applying year after year after year for those as well?
That is our intent, though we're kind of having conversations with the state to try to expedite a kind of, hopefully a commitment, if that's possible, or a kind of understanding that we would get fully funded for the infrastructure, so that sooner. Yeah.
I think our closing is scheduled for next March, is it, at this point? Is that-
So I think we have asked for a year extension as of
Last
I
month.
thought it was
Yes.
March 2024, we enacted the 1 year by
the
right
1 year
extension.
by right extension.
So we're scheduled to close in March next year then, I think. Is that right?
We anticipate having further conversations with you. We haven't.
You're gonna need more time,
We're,
that's what I
we're
was
gonna need
asking.
more time, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But every day, it's our step by step.
So I've heard you guys talk about the infrastructure number as being like 25 to 30 million or something in
Yeah.
that range. And so far you've gotten 5
Five.
million out of the state. How much of that 25 to 30 million do you need to get before you're actually gonna go ahead and start?
We need to be able to convince a bank or evidence to a bank that the money will be there.
All of it?
All of it.
Okay, all right.
So that's what we're working on.
Right. Thank you for the update.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thanks
So
for
I guess
coming.
just to follow up, Abby.
Sure.
From the town standpoint, aside from signing this contract tonight so that we've used the FY24 funds to not jeopardize the FY25 MassWorks funds, I think we all understand whatever minor issues might even remain in the contract right now, that's a priority that we would want to make sure this thing gets done tonight, so that there's no reason why Massachusetts would decide we don't need anything in FY25. And having decisively passed the MBTA Communities Act, those are the only two things I'm aware of that we as a town needed to be doing, this year to do our part to ensure everything we can to make sure you get your funding. Is that true?
I have to go back and look. I know we also, or the town also received funding for additional testing of the buildings for so we can get a better number on our asbestos and lead remediation. So there is another contract out there. It's with Vertex.
Yeah, that's money we already have, and we've already committed to the contract?
We
or-
have $500,000. We have signed the contract with the state to receive the money, but we need to do the contract with Vertex, who's going to do the work. I just sent them the first draft of our edits to their contract today.
Yeah.
They know how to write, they know the difference between a fixed price and a time materials contract.
We've been sending them these meetings.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Good.
And then, there's more that is happening behind the scenes with Christine and Frank and their crew on these. We're having conversations with Eversource because there's funding for that design. So there's more that's
What I'm really
happening.
saying is if there's something the three of us should be aware, Christine will
Yes.
keep us straight.
I mean, ideally at the August meeting, the VHB contract would be, not the VHB, the Vertex contract would be ready to approve.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
What Abby's trying to say is she's been spending a lot of time with us.
yeah.
Love what's
We
going
love the town.
So the only other comment, I'm not going to drag this out, but I think at our last meeting, you and I had, I think all three of us had concerns around the exhibits and things like that. I've been talking, and I'm satisfied that all of those major problems, the exhibits that were in the second contract that didn't have anything to do with the second contract, they're gone. So it's only the fixed price contract that has the exhibits. From my standpoint, the only minor jeopardy that I think we just should accept is with that Harding Street, North Street intersection. The assumption that they've made is that there'll be I think what they're really saying is that there won't be any street lights, any kind of, complicated lighting there, but they said pedestrian crosswalks. And I can see a couple of different configurations where there might be something. If that happened, it's a fixed price contract. VHB will have the right to come back to us with a request for a scope change that says, this was the assumption. It's not the assumption. You guys did something exotic with that intersection, and we're gonna need a little more money, and that might happen. And that's just, we're signing, I think we should sign it tonight, understand that could happen, and that's what happens with fixed price contracts when people change their minds about things. That would be what happened if you hired somebody to redo your kitchen and you suddenly decided you wanted a more expensive window. Contractor's gonna come in and say, well, I gave you this price, but window's more expensive, it's gonna cost you this much more. That's not, in this grand scheme of things, that's not a big deal. It's just possibly something that could happen.
I think we're good. You ready, motion?
Yep. I move that I gotta find the right one here, let's see. I move that we sign the contracts with VHB for design development and civil engineering plans for the Medfield State Hospital Redevelopment Housing Works grant. And I said contracts because one of them is about a $500,000 fixed price contract. The second is about a $250,000 time and materials contract.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, Abby.
Abby, I just mentioned one other thing. I think I mentioned this to Amanda. At the Mass Municipal Association annual meeting in January, there was a huge discussion about the amount of federal money and the climate bill that's available to states. And it's funding like up to half the cost of the projects or more. And so that I think that you guys should look at that. I've always thought that it would be a perfect site for a geothermal, what do they call it, distributed geothermal, where you have like Eversource is doing in Framingham now as a model project.
You already looked at that, though.
Yeah,
Well, you needed more wells, but we have a town land next to you where you could put more wells, and I'm happy to consider adding.
What town land?
What town land?
We've got the water tower land, we've got the green.
Geothermal.
So,
okay.
but to keep this moving,
Yeah.
I appreciate those comments, but don't lead into that right now.
We are looking into different sources.
Yeah, because
Yeah, no, I'm just encouraging you to take a look at things, because I think there is a huge amount of money, is the main message that came out of the Mass Municipal Association annual meeting. A lot of federal money, and there's a state agency that's in charge of getting that pushed out to people.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Abby.
All right, number 15, vote to sign the contract with Woodward and Curran for asset management services and sewer collection system asset management plan.
I already reviewed it. Looks good to me.
Chief?
I'm all set with it.
All right.
All right, I move that we sign the contract with Woodward and Curran for asset management services and sewer collection system and development of the sewer collection system asset management plan.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any commentary on that, Christina?
Looks good to me.
All right.
Ready? I move that we sign the contract with Suburban Glass and Mirror Company Incorporated for envelope repairs at the center at Medfield for $9,910.
Second.
Building up.
For the
Thank you.
benefit of
It is. Anybody who think, yeah, we're not spending $10,000 on paper envelopes, but thank you. Building envelope.
Did I hear a second?
You did.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote to allocate $26,774 of Treasury American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, funds towards the municipal building evaluation and capital planning study.
Yes, let me give you some background on this. So we, and you probably remember, have been talking about updating the 20-year facilities capital plan. We started talking about it in 2022 at the annual town meeting, and we appropriated $35,000 to that, to updating that plan. In talking to some firms back in 2022, we discovered that $35,000 was not nearly the amount of money we would need to do an update to that plan and incorporate new buildings. We had some staffing changes, as you know, in 2023, so we put the project on hold. And at the 2024 town meeting, we reappropriated some money from prior years, $74,608, to give us a total of approximately $125,000 to do this plan. That was what we anticipated about 9 months ago would be the cost of the plan. We went out to bid. I will let you know in the meantime, the RFP was reviewed by Chair of Permanent Planning and Building Committee. The Capital Budget Committee has had to take a look at it. Facilities departments looked at it. The school departments looked at it. I've met extensively with the Energy Committee, so it had a lot of new incorporations into the scope of work into the plan of what we were going to consider. We went out to bid, and we would like to award the bid to Arrow Street. But their price proposal is $153,000 for the total of the project. In talking to other towns recently who have done this, that is what the going rate for the amount of square footage is that we are asking the company to come in and review. Now, this was a capital budget item. We don't feel at this time we can wait to go back to town meeting and ask for additional funds at town meeting. Where we have been using the ARPA funding for capital projects, we are asking for the $26,774 from ARPA to complete this project, award to Arrow Street, and get working on the project as soon as possible. We're about 3 years behind, so we're anxious to get moving. We're in the process of hiring a new facilities director. We'd like to time that all up together.
Okay. Pete?
How much ARPA money do we have left if we do this?
So in the Treasury, this will bring us down to about $3,000 in the Treasury. Our Norfolk County money is about $80,000, and we are working with the county and Jen from Capital Strategy Solutions. We have to have that remainder of the $80,000 committed by the end of this calendar year, so by December 31st.
Okay.
No question.
No more questions. Thank you.
Yeah, there's some we need to get done, so,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, I move that we allocate $26,774 of Treasury American Rescue Plan Act funds towards the municipal building evaluation and capital plan study.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, vote to authorize the town administrator to sign the FY24 Student Awareness of Fire Education SAFE and Senior SAFE Grant Award Contract for the Fire Department for a total award of $6,900.
Yes, and thank you to Chief Carrico for going after all of these grants.
Yes, God bless him, he does a lot of work getting grants for the department. All right. Pete, any questions?
No.
No questions.
All right, fire away.
I move that we authorize the town administrator to sign the FY24 Student Awareness of Fire Education SAFE and Senior SAFE Grant Award Contract for the Fire Department for a total award of $6,900.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, citizens' comment? Nothing on
I
there?
have no one registered for that.
Okay, consent agenda. A request from the Medfield Public Library to use the gazebo green outside the library for the dog performing company Flying High Dogs on Saturday, August 17th from 10 to 10:45 a.m. This is being hosted by Medfield Public Library?
Yes.
Okay. Pete?
You gotta do the second one?
I've
Consent
seen the
agenda.
Flying High Dogs. They were fun. I recommend it to everybody.
You're good with that, no questions? And then gifts, accept one gift donation of $20 for the Council on Aging. And meeting minutes, March 4th.
Vote on-
Do we want to vote on the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Oh, sorry for that.
Second.
Moving right along here. So all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks for catching me on that one.
I like the way we're varying how we approve things tonight. This is fun.
Meeting minutes, I know I got my comments into Brittany, so there was just minor edits, nothing crazy. Pete? You good? Meeting minutes, March,
I got my comments in on whatever minutes we've gotten.
just March 4th.
Yeah, I must have given those.
My-
I was
my only-
shocked that I was still the chair in the minutes.
Ha!
Yeah. My only comment was that the correction that said sergeant was spelled S-A-R-G-E-N-T was recorrected by me to say it's S-E-R-G-E-A-N-T. Having spent time in the Army and having double-checked to make sure Medfield's Police Department doesn't use an alternative spelling. So,
Well, I changed Miss
Oh,
Mr.
you caught a
Mr.
bunch of-
Murphy,
you-
too.
I appreciate that. You did that in several places. And so you were the anonymous, usually I'm the anonymous one. You were
I was
the
part anonymous, part Eileen. I forgot
Okay,
to sign in when I
okay.
was
Yeah,
doing it.
that's what threw me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think
Um,
I've ever seen Pete be anonymous.
No.
So, and I knew I didn't do it, so, okay.
All right, so do we want to vote on the meeting minutes?
Move we approve the March 4th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, town administrator updates.
I have a couple of things. One, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you for the recognition of my 25 years tonight. It really has been an honor to work with so many different residents, volunteers over the past 25 years. You know, in preparation for this, just flipping through some of the town reports and some of the warrant reports and some of the projects, both, you know, small and large, were all created and done with the opportunity to make Medfield a better place for our residents, and it truly has been an honor to be here. But I couldn't do that by myself, obviously working under Mike for 20 of those years. I just want to thank all of my employees, former, current, future. Doing the work that they do every day really makes coming to work incredibly enjoyable and an honor to work here. So thank you again for that.
It's nice to see you and Scott giving each other a hug. Obviously, there's a good working relationship in this
We've been working together for 20 years, and Scott, Georgia, and I are now the long timers, so it's fantastic.
Excellent.
So thank you. That being said, I do have a little bit of bad news. We own the solar array on top of the public safety building, and we have been notified by Select, who does our maintenance contract, that there is a failure of some of the concrete blocks that are holding up that solar array, and that is not covered under our maintenance agreement with them. It's structural, and they're going to need to be replaced. The original estimate we received was $40,000 for that, which is concerning to me because we've only received SREC credits over the last 5-6 years of $60,000. So to put $40,000 into it is concerning. We are having a conversation with Byron and Select to go back and see if there is an alternative to the design they're proposing or that kind of material and what our options are at this point. So I did have Penny bring it up. I was not available at the Energy Committee meeting last week, but I know Penny mentioned it to them that we're gonna have to make some decisions on what we're gonna do with that solar array as we move forward. So I just wanted to give you a heads up since I had it mentioned at the Energy Committee. I don't have any solutions yet. I hate to bring you problems when I don't have solutions, so we'll try to put something together and just wanted to keep that on your radar.
Small concern that we're looking to do these other projects, and that's only been
So,
up there for how many
well,
years?
the other ones are PPAs, so
Okay.
we don't own the equipment.
Oh, right, okay.
We're just leasing them space, which is why we've always, you know, had the feeling since those became available that those were a better option for us because we don't have the capital money to do that.
Okay.
You know, my concern is we appropriated $78,000 from that reserve fund tonight. That would be my only option if those if those cement panels needed to be replaced or cement footings needed to be replaced. That's my only option at this point if we don't go to town meeting. So given they've already been up there for about 10 years, I think there's some smaller solutions they can provide to us. I think they presented us with a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So once we have a better idea, we'll come back to you with that. But I
These
just
are
wanted to.
concrete blocks associated with the installation of the solar panels.
Just holding it down.
Yeah, and they're not covered under the warranty.
And this is not a PPA, so we own the
We
equipment.
own it. We own the equipment.
Other argument not to not have
So this
PPAs.
was disappointing, and you know we've had really great experience. We've had some minor things here and there, you know, bills of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 if there's a panel that wasn't covered, specifically at the water treatment plant or wastewater treatment plant. But we haven't had any issues on the public safety one as of yet. But just to keep on your radar, we'll come up with something and get it back to you. So.
Okay.
Penny made that same point that you are making about the other ones are PPAs so that we're not at risk on those
Correct.
ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Obviously not something we ever anticipated. And, you know, when we did the solar arrays at the wastewater treatment plant and at public safety, PPAs were not where they are now. So that was not an option really when we did that back then. It was more preferential for us to have taken the ownership at that time.
Okay.
So, but we'll keep you posted on that. And that's all I have this evening.
Okay. All right, and then the next meeting dates are in the meeting minutes, so I won't read them all off, other than noting that our next one is August 20th. So leave it at that. Select Board member reports. Pete?
So at noon today, I listened to the three Democratic candidates running to replace Denise Garlick. they had a debate that was held, that was sponsored by Charles River Regional Chamber, Regional something, Regional Council, and from listening to the three of them for an hour, I guess I can tell you that we're going to have a good Democratic candidate. So they've all got different skills and different histories. I mean, one of them's 24, so he doesn't have as much history as the other two, but he's very good too. I had 2 office hours this month because of one of them coming on the Friday after the 4th of July, and but Jeff Sauter from the Dwight Derby House came to that one, and he and I talked about a lot of the Dwight Derby House issues, such as he's very interested in the $50,000 of earmark that Becca Roush has given to the town for historical structures, because he's named, the Dwight Derby House is named, and so he was curious about how that would get divvied up, and that's to be decided later. He told me that he cited the fact that they have a leak in the roof, actually, and a skylight problem, that so he's got some issues that need to get fixed. And he's actually asked if he could store some historic documents in the town safe, and Chris said that he could. So he gave me a drawing that Horatio Derby had done of the Unitarian Church, and he said it was done by this guy from the window at the Dwight Derby House, and that the church is facing North Street instead of 90 degrees. But when I looked at the drawing, it wasn't the same as the way it is now, so I sort of wondered about that. But interesting drawing. I put it on my blog if anybody wants to see it. And then he mentioned that the lease term has expired, so that and Chris has said that we're gonna look into dealing with that with them, and I guess with the Historical Society as well, is it?
I thought we renewed the lease.
We had a conversation, but we haven't finalized it yet. And then we asked them to come back in so we could sign it, and somebody was on vacation, so they just asked us to hold it. So we need to finalize that. And the lease over at the Historic Society, that lease hasn't been looked at since the early '80s, so it's probably something we should take a look at.
At my second office hours, Gene Minio came and gave me an update on the lease changes in their summer season, and the fact that they're looking to get open by summer of 2026 so that they can start their teaching programs. Looking to start work by the winter 2025, I think it was. 16 months to complete the work. And then the Energy Committee had a meeting, and they always do a ton of stuff. They talked about Medfield Day. They talked about what Bob Winograd has talked about here with the community aggregation. They're going to do the Sustainable Medfield has different groups that take different quarters of the year, and the Energy Committee is taking the 4th quarter, and they're going to focus on the opt-in special stretch code for that quarter. There are people that are leading the effort. Emily Lowney and Andrew, what's Andrew's? Gerald are leading that effort, and they're looking to talk to the building commissioner and some other people to let them know about the issues and the benefits of this specialized opt-in stretch code. Frank gave us, I guess, were you the one that gave us the bad news about or maybe that was Penny, about the public safety buildings solar array failing? Jim Redden's looking at the vehicle power roadmap, and that was it for them, and that's it for me.
See, just because we're on energy, I keep forgetting to ask you, have we got an update on the money that the town's recovered on the recharging stations?
No, I brought that up to Penny because they were supposed to be doing the pilot study on that. So I will remind Jim Redden on that.
Okay.
Yep, I
Okay.
did talk to Penny, but I forgot to have her bring it up the other night.
I've been meaning to ask you that for a couple of
Yeah.
months, because I think the last number I heard was $45, and that was about a year ago, so.
It's not much more than that.
That's what I'm worried about, okay. All right. So there's a couple of things I've been doing just sort of defensively, or I guess you could say. The state's been running monthly emergency shelter briefings that basically, if you think about what's going on in Norfolk, there's obviously a lot of concern around here around what's going on with immigrants coming in and into the state. The original date was postponed, which was interesting at the last minute because Maura Healey was leading a state delegation to the southern border, which was intriguing. But they did that, and then they rescheduled it for July 10th. These are usually pretty muted affairs. Most people are just there wanting to learn things, and so when MMA gets to the question and answer period, not very many people have questions. It's sort of it's quiet, too quiet out there. But anyway, the bottom line is that they have been making some progress apparently because the state has a limited capacity of emergency shelters. The state implemented a program where I think you can stay for 90 days and you can renew it for 90 days. And you have to do things, working on your resume, looking for jobs and doing things like that. And then under certain circumstances, certain people can actually get another 120 days beyond that if family situation is problematic. What they reported is they've actually had some of the immigrants that have actually transitioned out of the emergency housing. They've transitioned into jobs. They've apparently had some companies that have been working with the state because the companies are looking for labor. So there's been some examples where companies have actually opened their doors to some of these immigrants who are being allowed to work and are happy with the workers they're getting. The immigrants have now a stable base to have a place to live, and they're not huge numbers relative to the issue, but at least the state has. I kind of feel for these guys because it's a tough situation they're dealing with. They're trying to put the best face on it that they can, and they're the ones that are kind of charged with trying to make this all work. And I wouldn't say that they've solved the problem, but at least there's a flow that's going in a direction for some immigrants that's getting them into a more stable interim long-term solution state, I guess is what you could call it. The MMA said, this lasted for 25 minutes instead of an hour. Nobody had questions. Adam Chapdelaine, had a couple that he did to pedal the bike to start with, but he finally said, you know what, I think we probably won't have any more of these monthly updates until such time as it looks like it's important to have them. So they're going away. But at least there's some small positive messaging coming out of what they're doing there. I don't know how that fits against the size of the problem, betting it's a small part, but at least somebody's working. Jerry Kazanjian reached out to me to volunteer to be on the 375th anniversary parade committee, and I personally, I think probably will ask the Memorial Day Parade Committee to help out with that, but that got me thinking about something we should be thinking about as we're doing all our appointments, which is to establish a 375th anniversary committee sooner rather than later. It's going to be it's 2026, so that gives them a full year, but it would be kind of nice to have the committee established coming out of this year.
Yeah, Noodle's ideas.
And I think, Christine, you said you've heard there's some
there's some interest.
Yeah, so there's some interest, and there's also some logical people that we probably should look to that maybe were involved in the last one that would have some views. And my guess is this is not a committee that has to be a lean and mean committee of three. This is probably one that could be would be well served by the people of the town who care about the town's history and have the time and willingness to put in. So that's just putting that on the list of things the three of us should be thinking about trying to set up. I sent you all and Frank and Brittany a copy of the webinar that, again, it's MAPC, I think, hosted this one, called The MBTA Fiscal Cliff and the Future of Public Transit. For those in the public, the MBTA we approved, I'm on the advisory committee. We approved the FY25 budget for the MBTA. The only way they got to a balanced budget was by tapping their reserves to the tune of about $525 million. That leaves their total reserves on a multi-billion-dollar a year operation at about $100 million. It was pretty clear to me when I reviewed the budget and that this was a budget which was a political statement, because what they did is they provided projections of the budget shortfalls going forward from here. Next year in FY26, the budget shortfall is something like $626 million. It then jumps up to like $700 million, and ultimately by 29, it gets to about $800 million under the current structure. So clearly, it's something that the MBTA can't deal with. When they had a $145 million shortfall several years ago, basically they said, we're going to have to cut ferry service, we're going to have to stop the T at midnight, we're going to cut a bunch of buses, and what happened is the legislature came in, got them the money, so that didn't happen. But this is 4 times that size, and growing. So right now, I think the T is in it's a budget process, but it's a budget process that's a political process that's trying to get the state, and especially the state legislature, to explore things to do. In the stuff that I sent out, you'll see there's one study that was done that identifies potential revenue sources, and an awful lot of them point at finding ways to extract money from people who use automobiles on the state's roads.
Crazy.
So it's a big issue. I will say that the people that are involved with the T, that are at the highest levels, that are ones I'm talking to, we don't have that big a stake in this, but I'm there anyway. The people who are trying to run the T at the top levels, they're actually trying awfully hard, and even the legislature, based on Brian Kane, the director, his comment is the legislature is not just kind of like leaving the T out there. They get it. They don't want to see public transit blow up. It's a real awkward issue. So for any of the commuters and the public that are relying on the T, probably want to pay attention to that one going forward. Brittany's gone, huh? She's still here? Yeah, so she's not here, but I want to publicly acknowledge Brittany having completed the leadership program at Suffolk University. I haven't seen her. You sent us an email to let us know on that, and I actually, that link had a lot of good stuff, but was that 2 years? It was a 2-year program?
It's 9 months every Friday. And she had to do hers on the Cape, so she had 3 hours of driving.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Most times it was more than that in the warmer months.
So I still have to talk to her directly, but I just want to publicly acknowledge that achievement on her part and the commitment that it took to get there. And I'm going to wind up following, my last comment actually is a follow-up to Christine's comment about having been here. It's a 25-year anniversary. Christine said it was great and a lot of fun. None of us should think or trivialize the idea that we have people in this town, and probably of all at the top of the pyramid in terms of the role that they play, is Christine, who have committed to this town for those kinds of times. So it's great that it's been enjoyable to work here, but my understanding of the state of town managers and town administrators in most towns in Massachusetts is that there's sort of a 3-year rotating process where there's no commitment. And so, Christine, speaking personally, it's no small thing that I'm happy that you've liked being here, and I congratulate you on 25 years. I thank you for the commitment you've given to this town for those 25 years. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. All right, so I've got a couple things here. I did make it to, and I think, Pete, you're with me. We walked with Congressman Auchincloss. That was right after our last select board meeting, if I'm not mistaken. It was July 1st.
That was a nice tour that he came. For some reason, he wanted to tour the historical sites in town, so we set up a tour for him.
Yep, no, it was nice. It was well attended.
The more he can know about Medfield, the better off it is for Medfield.
I think it had to do with an intern that's working with him that made some comments about
she's from Medfield, Kate Anderson.
She made some historic comments, and he said, all right, so I'll miss people if I say who helped, and I don't have it in front of me, but it was a nice turnout. He's such a nice man. well-spoken, and I appreciate him coming in and taking the time.
It was Peggy Sue Weatherson that pretty much put it together.
Right, and then there were
She's the president of the Medfield Historical Society.
yes, and then different folks from the different sites that we went to. And the sites were, we started off with Medfield Historical Society, then we walked over to what's the church right there, Baker's Pond?
The First Parish.
I always forget that one. And then we walked over to Dwight Derby, nice guided tour there.
And Jeff Souter was so smart, he asked Colleen Sullivan to come and take pictures. So
Oh my
he
gosh,
has a
yeah.
whole array of excellent pictures. 'Cause Colleen knows how to tell people where to stand and how to move.
And then Bobby Kennedy, God bless him, was in a little van. He drove a couple of us over to the Peak House, and then we left the Peak House and went over to the grist mill. And Dick Judge did a nice job with Jerry. And I'm going to forget the lady's name who was there as well. Ann.
Sharon.
Really
Ann
nice
Crowell,
job
yeah.
that just kind of walking him through. And it was I've never been in there before, so it was actually fascinating. So kudos to that. And then I also had a chance to come to the town hall when William O'Donnell was here for the Registry of Deeds. And that turned out to be, I guess, well attended.
It was very well attended.
Over 20 residents came in. I think, Chris, I saw you here. They were busy from the moment he showed up to when he left here a little after noontime. And then I had a chance to sit and talk with the owners at Kingsbury. They were asking some questions about Lot 3, so I guess I would put that out to Christine as to kind of where we are with doing the RFP for Lot 3. Is that something we still want to pursue, or?
That is up to you. We brought it to you about a year ago,
Right.
and nobody had any interest or appetite in moving that forward, so we held on it.
There were two issues. One was the exact wording of the RFP. Probably we need to work on an RFP
Okay.
if we're going to do that. But the other issue was we were in the IE zone planning process.
Right.
So I felt like, well, let's do that first and know what we come up with an answer. As a practical matter, I don't think we did anything through that effort that would have any meaningful impact on what we might look at doing with Lot 3. So I think there's, again, in the interest of looking at surplus town assets that we could find ways to sell in order to generate money that could help to fund a new school, I think that's definitely something that we should be looking at during the fall. There's no driving reason to push for it, but that's something that's just there that we should look at trying to do that.
And so is that a sell versus lease? Is that's something we'll put out to the town?
We have
authorization to lease it.
We have the authorization to
Yeah,
lease
you
it.
don't have the authorization
Not
to
to
sell.
sell it, but,
Okay. Take
but
that
as
to
a
town
practical
meeting if you
matter,
want.
if we wanted to sell it, we could go to town meeting next May, and we would be able to generate money that could go to the school. I don't think that would affect that, so we if we needed to, we could go in that direction.
Okay, and the same would be true if we wanted to explore the 12 acres up at,
If we want to do that, and the same thing actually would be true if we wanted to explore selling the Kingsbury site itself.
Okay.
Right now, it's leased.
Okay.
Lot 3, if you went in toward Kingsbury and just keep going, so it's the next thing over. Right now, it's got some, I think, DPW piles of dirt.
I was going to say, the pile of dirt right now, just piles of.
The whole thing's about 5 acres. The only thing is that most of those 5 acres are, have wetlands boundaries that I think drop the practical land to 2.5, I forget, Christine.
Yeah, it's small. It's small. once
It's
that
relatively small, which is.
It's actually more like 12 acres, I think,
Maybe it was
11 or 12 acres, but there's only about 3 acres of it that are
So maybe
usable
that's-
because
yeah.
of the river's setback, because there's a
Right.
creek at the far end.
Right.
So I
the
just
detention
mentioned,
ponds.
Christine, that they could come and sit and throw some ideas by you.
Sure.
And then, and again, like they respect the whole RFP process and what we have to do, but just had some ideas they were kicking around.
Absolutely.
And then I do want to put a little informational plug in. I was talking with Carolyn Casey earlier today. They have roughly about 1,100 responses to the school building committee survey. They ideally would love to get that to 1,500. So what she said is, like, if you get a chance to just share with people, if they've taken it, but they have friends that haven't, if they could share the link. It does cut off this Friday, technically at midnight, so we only have a few more days left, but, the more people that can give their feedback would be fantastic. And then, Christine, you can confirm this for me, Council on Aging summer cookout tomorrow night?
That I do not know.
I think it is.
My invite must have gotten lost in the mail.
I only see that because I drove by over to Kingsbury the other day, and I was like, oh, I think I did not know it, and I already committed to something tomorrow night. And then I will end on the same thing that Gus did. I think 25 years is amazing. If you could tell stories, I can only imagine from the early 2000s to what the town has evolved to now, with so many changes, and so many people have come and gone through these doors. But listen, if someone that did 28 years of Kodak, 25 is a long time, and you still do it with a smile on your face, and you've got together a awesome team. So it says a lot about you, and as you just said, you have long-time employees, right? So if you get people going through quickly, that says one thing, and that's not what's happening here. And then the people that have left, like somebody like Nick, like he had just an opportunity he couldn't give up, right? But I know he still keeps in contact, which is another kudos to you. So just congratulations. And
Thank you. Thank you. I will tell you a very quick story of my very first day. I came in, and my desk was actually right in this main part, and I was sitting behind Evelyn Clark. And I came in, and there was a typewriter on my desk. And I thought, uh-oh. And no, I didn't say anything to anybody. And then Mike Sullivan came out, and he says, well, we weren't really sure what you wanted. And I said, no, I've never really used a typewriter. And he looks at Evelyn, and he goes, I knew she was going to be on one of those. I guess we have to buy computers now.
Thank God. At least it wasn't a whole card punch machine, right? I mean, there are worse things. So, all right. So on that note, any last comments or move to wrap it up?
I move we adjourn.
All right. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
See you on the 20th.